On welcome to Wednesday night with yours truly. I feel like I should have some kind of like intro, name, something, but I don't. I don't even have an intro song or nothing. You just get an extreme close up of me yapping at you. I got a few things to go over tonight. We're going to give it a couple minutes for people to kind of filter in. I've got some updates on the Kickstarter. I've got some updates from Memphis Comic Expo. I've got plenty to talk about for all you jumping in. We may have a couple guests tonight. The wonderful Danielle Stover. She likely will be jumping on. I think you could kink the garden hose when you're a kid, keep the water from coming out. I think someone did that to her internet line. She says she's having some technical difficulties, so she should be popping in. We got James hanging out in the chat. James might be popping in later too. Just depends on schedule if it works out. But if you haven't followed James or Danielle, we got Danielle's Instagram pulled up, Evine Arts, and then James is of course sketching the beast. Get him pulled up here. Check out these wonderful folks always hanging out in the chat, all that good stuff. We'll just give it a quick second here. I'll give you some teasers though while we're hanging out. I have not ordered this much stuff to my house in a short amount of time. As with I did with this Kickstarter, we've got everything from comic books coming in to T-shirts to you name it. We'll start off with some small stuff here. One of the items that you could pick up, and if you jumped on the last issue of Slaughter Dolls, was the bottle opener magnet. It's very handy, very cool. I used to carry these as regular merch at my table. It's just a quick upsell add-on thing. They just got kind of be a pain to like reorder. When I say that, it's just that it took like an extra step to think to remember to do it, and then like try to be home when the shipment's coming in. But these are super cool. If you don't have one of these, other artist friends, like these are super cool. They've just got a magnet on the back, goes right on your fridge or wherever you want to put it, and then a little bottle opener there from Pure Buttons. What's up, Adrian? What's good? Welcome. We're just going over some of the merch that came in from the Kickstarter. We also have this is a special gift. This wasn't a thing that you could buy on the Kickstarter. This is just me throwing some stuff in for the physical backers. Little window cling sticker. Very cool. What else we got? I was hoping the comic books were coming in today, but as it turns out, UPS rescheduled on me. UPS is usually like my go-to. They tend to do the best at like being on time. Like the dude that comes to my, I feel so bad because I don't remember if his name is Mark or Gary. Can't remember for the life of me. But he's like clockwork. He's always at the house around 3:45, and they changed the date. It's coming tomorrow. But I did get these were in the Kickstarter as well. T-shirts. That one's gonna be mine. Yeah, it's not even close, dude. Mark, Gary. I have this really bad problem with guys' names in particular, where and I don't know if this is like an early sign of like maybe it's like brain damage or something. But I've been doing this for years where I will automatically code someone's name to be John, even if it's not even close to what their actual name is. Kind of a problem. In fact, I felt so bad, man. I was a manager. The company I was at, I was a manager over like a sales department that covered like Northeast Ohio and PA and some other places. And there's a dude in a different department that I called John for about 2 months. And one day he just stopped me. He's like, Steve, my name's not John, right? It's Chris. And I was like, my bad, dude. I'm like, you could have told me at any point. He's like, no. He's just like, I just thought it was cool that like you would take time to stop and talk to me and ask me about my day, but figure I should probably tell you that my name's not John. Yeah, yeah. Brain damage is probably accurate. Then we got the ladies tank, little Slaughter Dolls tank top. I am very happy with the quality of all of these. I was not happy with the customer care interaction that I had with our dear friends at Custom Ink. I've used them many times, and they've got one of those super handy like product builders where you can almost like Photoshop your images onto the shirt. And the they both looked fine when I plugged them in. Then they sent me the digital proofs, and they really changed the girl's shirt like drastically. Like the logo was in the wrong spot. I couldn't approve the I couldn't approve it because that wasn't what I wanted. And I guarantee an AI chatbot emailing me back because it all was like the same way and it was super polite. It's like, hi, I'm Brenda. I'm overlooking your concern. I wanted to reach out to let you know that blah blah blah. And I'm like, I just want the logo to be centered. I'm Brenda. I've been watching your thing closely. Blah blah blah. I'm like, okay, Brenda, I get it. I get it. So those are in. Super excited about those. Um, been working quite a bit to make sure that this Kickstarter is ready to go. Books should be in tomorrow. I have a mountainous, as it were, to get all those things organized, signed, remarks, all that good stuff, and start actually putting these things together, putting all the bundles to go out. But the commissions are done. Spare two of them. One one is actually my brother's. He in his backer kit survey, he just said, Steve, you're gonna hate me. I don't know what I want. Hit me up later. It's like, okay, we'll figure it out. And then the other one is another dude. Corey, if you're watching this, fill out your backer kit survey, dude. I need to draw your stuff for you. James, I think I remembered sketching the beast way sooner than I remembered James for sure. But I also have this paranoia that I'm saying the wrong name if I haven't seen you, not you, but like the empirical you, in a couple months for a couple shows. Um, there's one dude. He's not the artist. He's the artist's husband. Good old Mikkel Overholtz and her husband Josh. There's one day I'm like, dude, I've been calling you Josh for like the last 3 shows, and it scares me to death that I've been calling you the wrong name. Is it Josh or Cameron? Josh, okay, perfect. Way off. Yeah, yeah, dude. The sketching the beast thing works out great, dude. That's how I remembered you. But the fact that we actually had like a real conversation at Rochester, like you and Josh, um, I don't know if you know Andy and Sarah. Andy's he's a retired school teacher. He was in the military for like 20 years as well. Met them there too. Real good people. But what can I show you commission wise? There's nothing like super bad. Oh, we'll save that one for the last. We did a little power commission. Thought she turned out pretty good. I'm using Sketch Copics on this. A little Psylocke commission. A little color pop with the energy beam. Someone wanted one of my characters, a Spooky Von Cat. Thought she turned out good too. And we got Jade from Mortal Kombat. So super stoked. All that stuff's like ready to go. I just need to set up the war room down in the garage, move my car out, set up some tables, and just put together about a day of assembling packages. And then probably about, I don't know, it's going to take me probably a solid afternoon then to get all the shipping labels. I don't have the best workflow when it comes to Kickstarter, but yeah, I think what I'm going to do, I got several things I want to talk about tonight. You saw in the title of this, we're going to be discussing AI stuff. I've been doing a little bit of deeper digging into this rabbit hole. Because there's, in my opinion, there's much deeper implications than just AI generated art. I feel like the argument that's happening in our community pales in comparison to what's going on across the board. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about some spooky season stuff. And then also got a lot to talk about with Memphis Comic Expo. If anyone in the chat's been to Memphis, feel free to let me know. In fact, those of you that are in the chat that are artists, if you want to put your show that you most recently did, or if you got any upcoming shows, feel free to drop that over there. And if you see me looking this way, that's because where StreamYard is. I have to pretend that I can see what's going on because that's the camera, and that's where you guys are. So I'll tell you what, I know Danielle is looking to get signed in. So we'll lead off with Memphis. Let me do a little screen share. Let's see. At the stage. Can you all see the screen all right? Twin Tiers Comic Con. Is that Twin Cities or Twin Tiers? Let's see. So while we're on it, check out James's page, Sketching the Beast. Let's see. Good old Memphis. This is their Instagram. And I'm going to lead this off with, I had a relatively good show at Memphis. Many of the people that were there did not have a good show. I had multiple artists messaging me, contacting me, because I think they want me to come in here and just bash the show, and that's not going to happen. So I see it from both sides. I do. There's multiple things going on with this. I think the big thing is, I guess the last few years, this show has been an absolute banger. And then something happened. And I believe the something that happened, number one, definitely what happened was they did change venues. They went from I think they were calling it the Agri Center, something like that. The way it was described to me was like multiple smaller rooms. They're kind of connected with like mini hallways. Kind of reminds me of like a Grand Rapids scenario. They're, I forget the name of the convention center. It's where they do their spring fling. But then this year they moved Memphis to the downtown convention center. So in theory, that could potentially cause some issues with people not realizing where they need to go to. But that didn't happen with Cincinnati. Cincinnati, they said they were switching to Sharonville. Sharonville was crazy. So I am in no way or shape going to throw shade at Memphis. I do have some concerns about some of the artists' mentalities that were there. I guess maybe I need to lead with that. Is number one, when we're doing conventions, those conventions don't owe us a thing other than a table. If we give them money, they owe us a table. That's about it. And that's subject to change. Like anything could happen, right? Obviously, conventions that are more established, that sort of thing, they need to be promoting. They need to be bringing in guests that will bring in a crowd, all that good stuff. So, all that to say, some of the artists that were there, the complaints seemed to be more of, I should have had more sales, I should have had more traffic, this, that, the other. For me, this is only a 2-day show. Mind you, it's a 10-hour drive. I was reluctant to do it, but I wasn't sure how Cincinnati was going to go. It's a 10-hour drive to Memphis. And Saturday was pretty solid. I had a I would say, especially given the circumstances, pretty dang good Saturday. Here's a picture of the old booth. One of the things that I edit your images using AI. I'm gonna put some puppies in here. Um, this looks like my normal setup. Here's the difference: is that when I signed up for this, all of the vendor booths were already gone. All they had was Artist Alley. So this is not a 10 by 10 booth. This is a 6 by 8. If you could see the absolute cluster that's behind this table and what I had to like go through to get into my like little workstation back here, it was not good. But um here's mentality number one that I have is that I am here to sell. I am going to make my display the best that it can be. I have invested. This booth didn't get like this overnight. This has been 5 years of growing this. Actually, more than that. I'm not going to do math right now. Going taller, reinvesting into taller stands, taller banners, better display for the table, spending like investing money in things like getting the poster frames and the printer that will print these large prints. You got to bring your A game. And I feel like I'm not trying to throw shade at artists either. I feel like there's a lot of people that felt like they were owed something this weekend that were not bringing their A game with their table, with their display. They might have had good art, but let's face it, when people walk through here, they're in a marketplace. If it doesn't look good, if it doesn't feel good, you it was now the reason why I was really desperate, because I'm about to say it was really desperate in Artist Alley. The reason it was really desperate is because not many people were there. There wasn't a lot of money in the room. That could be a whole nother problem. The challenge you run into is when you get a customer that walks this far into the show and they've been asked 1,000 times, "Hey, how's it going? You want to check out my prints? You want to see this? You want to see that?" It tends to be a bit overbearing. So do what you can on this front. If this is everything that you can possibly do to make your display look as good as it can, from there it is a matter of getting people through the door and not badgering them once they actually do walk past your table. There were a couple other vendors that I checked in with through the weekend that had really good weekends, and it was only a couple. Vast majority of people did not have a good weekend. And I'm going to show you some pictures that kind of demonstrate that. Let's see here. So this was Sunday, I think around 2. That's my booth over here. And those are our customers. It did get a little bit busier here and there. But we also had a lot of vendors pack up and leave early. In fact, at a certain point, I was just walking around and taking pictures of empty booths. Person next to me left, and there was a little bit of a different reason for that. The other issue was there was, I believe there was 4 stacks of stickers that got stolen off of her table at 2 different occasions. I felt so bad for her. She was trying her best to like have a good show, talk with people. I believe she was doing commissions for some folks. She was doing like pet portraits and stuff, and allegedly had like 4 stacks of stickers just get up and stolen. So on 2 fronts, if you were the person that paid whatever the ticket price was to come in, and you see a bunch of empty tables and a bunch of tablecloths with no one there, and this was happening, people were packing up Saturday. On one hand, I don't fault them, because if you paid, I don't know if it was $200, $300, $400 for an Artist Alley table, I couldn't tell you. I don't remember. And you didn't talk to hardly a person all day, I could see why you'd be upset. I'm of the mentality that, well, I've already paid for the table for the weekend. I've already paid for the hotel. I'm here. Let's stick it out. Maybe do some networking. Go talk to some people. Try to shake some hands. Maybe work on some like sketch covers that I could sell elsewhere. But yeah, it was really slow. From a social media standpoint, I don't know that this is the best message to put out there. And Memphis, you are our only hope. Show up today to keep MCX going. Uh, I don't know that that's the message you want to send to your audience, but I think the reality is that between venue change and all that good stuff, I feel like it was a tough call. Put a lot of people in a tough spot. So I don't know. I don't even know if Memphis is happening again, but I think I don't know, on two different levels. Number one, artists, we got to stay positive. It is a show. The people that are showing up, uh, they might be paying their 25, 35 bucks to get in. We're supposed to be putting on a show for them. At the same time, I don't judge you if you leave early. You do what you got to do, man. I had a couple friends that were there that left early. But hey, I'll tell you what. We just had Danielle jump into the back room. Let's everybody in the chat round of applause for Danielle coming in. Welcome, Danielle.
Hello, hello.
What's up?
Well, I'm a little frustrated for.
What's happening?
So, since yesterday, my husband's and my internet at my house has been a little bit wonky. I had to actually end my stream early because of it.
Oh no!
So you would think after a day it would improve, but no. This time there was no internet when I was starting to get in, and so I had to drive to a Starbucks next to my house. Thankfully.
Oh no! So you're at Starbucks right now?
Yep, I'm sitting in a Starbucks.
Oh, gee, I was gonna say, what's going on with the music in the background? You're at Starbucks.
I don't know how to. I don't know. What can I do? I can mute myself.
No. We're gonna have fun with this. All right,
okay.
Chat. We need to ask Danielle some embarrassing questions that she has to answer out loud.
Oh no! What? What embarrassing questions?
Yeah. So if you got embarrassing questions that you can ask in the chat, please send them up.
Oh Lord, have mercy. Yes, Starbucks, Adrian.
So I was just talking about my weekend experience at Memphis Comic Expo.
I was listening.
Yeah, it was a little rough. Did you have any conventions here recently, or have you been mostly doing the Twitch streaming?
So, you remember when we met at Baltimore?
Yeah.
That was actually one of my most embarrassing times, honestly. And there was another convention maybe a couple of years back when I was still getting back into it, where I drove to just, I guess, a few miles away from the border. Unfortunately, I don't remember the convention's name. That was a bad situation as well. That was also when I first started doing caricatures. And again, honestly, like I had posters, I had other things, but like it was the caricatures that kept people coming.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have had some really painful conventions, and my most recent one is the one in Baltimore. And I actually had to run to the bathroom so I could cry in private.
Oh no!
Sorry.
Not good.
Yeah, it sucks. Okay.
It happens though.
It does. Adrian, please ask Danielle what happens when she eats. Oh gosh.
So what's this? So is this like it is spooky season? Is this like vampire repellent? What are we doing with this garlic? What's going on here?
Well, here's the thing. If anything, I should like vampires. Heck, I probably would be a vampire. Unfortunately, I love garlic too much, though. But the thing is, that is an inside joke between me and Slim Slam there. So you
don't want to disclose that to the entire Starbucks?
There's no one here.
Oh, never mind.
So I'm all good. Like, anyway, so the situation there was, I think I had a cold, so I was kind of going through the flu. Or maybe I just got past it. But and anyway, I heard of a someone making garlic soup in order to help him rejuvenate. And this is a TikToker that I really enjoy. He's a chef.
Okay.
I love watching food channels, by the way. Um, well, um, what happened is that I guess I put so much garlic that I was stuck on the porcelain throne for about an hour.
No.
So yeah, and well, I guess what me and Slim called that time, like I was texting her in my time of need, just like
What do I do?
And she's a nurse, so that's one of the other reasons.
Okay.
And we just called it garlic hoops. So
Good to know.
Mhm.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Well, in turn, you're allowed to ask Adrienne one embarrassing question as well that she has to put on the internet forever. She has to answer in the chat.
Uh-oh. Well, then it's time to fire back. Let's see. That's her most. Okay, what was the most embarrassing time you have had with one of your patients? And yes, I know there is HIPAA, so HIPAA laws. So of course, like keep it in the realm of what that,
John or Jane Doe. We'll go with that.
John or Jane Doe.
Yes. So, I do enjoy watching the cooking channels myself. I watch almost daily Guga Foods.
Guga
Have
Foods?
you seen them? Guga.
No, never heard of them.
So very jovial dude. I don't know what nationality he is. I don't know if he's Puerto Rican, I don't know what, but he's very energetic. Does a lot of food experiments. He makes some amazing stuff, and he has his cousins try it, and they're like, "Oh, this is amazing!" But then every now and then he gets a real stinker.
Oh, I've seen his face.
Yeah.
Okay, I just looked him up, so I have seen him, but I've never followed his channel. Go on, continue.
Yeah. No, he's just got some really good stuff. It's just the only time I can watch him is when I'm either eating lunch or dinner, because it just makes me hungry watching him cook stuff. That's my challenge I've got. But Adrienne says that you can't be embarrassed when you have no shame, which is well played. And she also has, it looks like a quick story here. I was doing a wound care dressing on a patient, and my scrub pants were loose and almost fell down. Had to ask my coworker to hold my supplies so I could yank my pants back up. It's not just plumbers. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So, I wanted to do a little bit of a segment. I'm going to come back to talking about Memphis at the end here, because there's a couple more things that happen. Actually, you know what? While we're on the talking, let's just talk about it. Since we've got a, is she a nurse?
Yes, she is a nurse.
Perfect. So, I had a little bit of a situation at the beginning when we were loading in for Memphis. And I don't know if I have the picture. Yes, I do. So here's what happened. I go into the show. I take my first dolly load of bins and stuff to my table. And I'm going back out to the loading dock to my van to get my second load of stuff. And when I walk out, there is a gold Jeep. I don't know if it's a Jeep Cherokee or a Jeep Liberty or something, that they floored it. They were at like a park position and then just floored it and slammed into another vehicle. I had to cover up license plates to protect all those involved. But this vehicle, so I'm standing at the back of my van right here. I was not at my van. I was walking out. All I see is like this dude jumps into this vehicle and then slams into this white Sprinter van, slamming it to the side. And it hits this yellow Penske over here. I have no idea what exactly happened. What I was told was, I don't know if it was the building staff or security or whoever was trying to move this vehicle for somebody. Didn't engage the park all the way. It started to roll. And then they jumped in. And instead of hitting the brake to keep it from hitting anything, they accidentally stomped on the gas. And I believe this might be the tire marks here. I think it actually slammed in and then bounced the vehicle, maybe. I don't know. So our Adrian, our resident nurse here, our RN for the channel, designated duly appropriated. I responded by getting my emergency bag. I have a emergency trauma bag in my vehicle. Run around making sure everybody was okay. That sort of thing. Luckily, no one got. There was like 6 people out here, something like that. I'm probably misremembering. Nobody got hit. The only person that looked like they got injured was the person that was in the vehicle. When he got out, he was holding his chin, and he kind of ran off to go get help. Luckily, like I said, other than the damage to vehicles, which there was quite a bit of damage, no one was seriously hurt. Now, our resident nurse, how would you, if you wanted to advise somebody, and this isn't legal or medical advice here, what kind of medical attention should you be bringing out if you heard that there was a crash of this nature in your parking lot? You don't know necessarily who's hurt or who's not hurt. You can go ahead and respond in the chat. I have a background in first aid and safety and stuff. I was like, my thought process was, this dude's running on pure adrenaline. He says he's not hurt. Well, I don't know. It could be. Yeah, I need to get back into a first aid CPR class. It's been a minute, but just having this stuff, having it available is huge. So
I think I remember you telling me that and being rather impressed, because not a lot of people do that. And I am a doctor's daughter. My mom is also a nurse, so.
If you're on a plane, let's say we're flying to Hawaii, we're mid Pacific right now, and someone says, "Is there a doctor on the plane? This woman's going into labor," and nobody raises. There's no doctors. Would you raise your hand and say, "I'm the daughter of a doctor"? Is that close enough? Is that?
No, I wouldn't even do that. I would just, I would just know basics. And trust me, I've worked in my parents' clinic for like 5 years, and I still wouldn't do that. It's just like, that will come back on me hard.
Well, and that's the concern for a lot of people, is the legal side of things. Is like, what can I do? Am I going to get sued?
If I don't have a license to do anything like that, I'm just going to at least be the first one to call 911 or, yeah.
Yeah, and that's interesting. Adrian just brought this up too about calling 911. When I looked out, when I got down there, mind you, I'm like just coming out of the dock doors, and there's like 6 people standing back there. I get down there, everybody has their phone out. So I'm walking around, I'm asking if people are okay, this, that, the other. And I turn and said, "Has anyone called 911? And they all looked at me like, should we?" Like, yes, you. And I just went back into first aid training mode. I was like, you call 911, you stick with that guy, make sure he doesn't pass out. If he does, my name's Steve, just yell for help. So yeah, you don't know how people are going to respond in an incident, but general bewilderment is the answer.
Yeah. Actually, let me tell you a story. So one situation where something like that did happen, not on a plane per se, but it was actually at one of my gigs. It was last year. I was doing this gig called Pumpkin Night. I was drawing everybody. I guess this family was waiting in line for a little while. But the mother started slowly collapsing. Like, you can see her head rolling back, and her husband is trying to like hold her up while she was becoming dead weight in his arms.
Oh no.
And like they had a little son like asking, "Mommy, are you okay?" He couldn't really talk yet, but he knew that there was something wrong with his mom. And immediately I just get right up and I start and I'm shouting out, "Is someone call 911 now?" And I'm about to like at least try to help him like lay her down. Um, and when no one really started calling 911, I was ready to like snatch up the phone and start. But then someone's like, "No, don't worry, we already got someone, and there's a nurse coming right now to help her." And I'm just like, "Oh, okay, good."
That
And then
helps.
I'm still and we're trying to calm down their son because he's screaming because he's so scared, and
Right.
so we're just trying to calm him down. I'm trying to draw him a picture, trying to make him feel better. Um, but like once the once they were trying to get her, when she actually woke up like maybe a minute after the chaos happened, and she just needed to have some water. She just needed to rest. Just had to do all of that, and then try to also help our customers.
Yeah.
Apparently, through and honestly, I just did what I thought was normal. I didn't really think it was all that heroic. I was just really darn scared for the lady.
Yeah.
But at the end of it, I started hearing, yeah, no, then she was being the hero here, and I saw the arm finger being pointed at me. It's like, I did what? I just
What I
did
do?
what I thought was normal.
I don't
Wait, what
want
did I
any
do?
attention. Don't sue me, please.
I was like, I was called the hero that night. I was like, I was just calling 911.
Well, it takes someone stepping up and taking charge in the situation, because they call it a normalcy bias, which is everything's fine, nothing's wrong. That's just how we feel most of the time. And when something goes horribly wrong, most people don't know what to do. They just panic. It's deer in the headlight. So the fact that you actually took charge and did it, I mean, it goes a long way. It goes a long way.
That's what I learned. I was just like, oh, I guess the way I reacted isn't normal. So,
No, most people are bystanders, or they'll get out their phone and film these days. And that's about it.
oh my gosh. Nah, shoot, you made me think of another story, but I don't want to.
No, we're just hanging out and chatting, because the stuff that I've got to talk about isn't particularly exciting.
Well,
Yeah.
okay. Speaking
I
of,
mean, it's super exciting. You guys should stick to the end. Sorry. Go ahead.
speaking of people pulling out their phones, so it was actually when I quit my parents' job, I decided to work retail for a little bit. But I was responsible for watching this kiosk. I was selling shoe charms for Crocs. Um, well, I wasn't quite aware of the situation in the particular mall that I was in, but I guess that it was near the ghetto.
Hmm.
Um, because I suddenly see, I think I was only working the second day. Um, but I suddenly see like these boys suddenly attacking one another, and one boy flipped and hit my kiosk. So like everything in my kiosk fell over, and
Pins everywhere.
yeah, everywhere. And I didn't know that was my deer in headlights moment. I was like, what do I do? Because these boys are fighting each other. Well, suddenly I noticed that there was one kid, he had his phone out smiling the whole time, recording it. And I actually got angry at him, saying, like, put that away, like, call for help or something. And then he goes, you're doing the same thing. Like, I'm just standing watching. Like, I'm trying to find my phone to call for help. In that moment, I couldn't find my phone,
Oh no.
so I couldn't call for help. And oh my gosh, I almost wanted to like slap the phone out of his hand because it was
No.
just I can't stand when people do that.
So, what ended up happening? They just run off, or what?
Well, they fought for like maybe a good 2 minutes, just on the floor. Finally, these idiots finally just pulled away from another after one other kid just sucker punched one, the guy who was on the floor already.
Yeah.
He looked like he was fine. He was holding it together fine, and I was actually kind of shocked. It's like, how can he still be walking after all that? Well, he just got up.
Adrenaline.
Yeah, got up, walked away, mocked the other kids who were beating on him, and he almost looked like he was fine, and I was just like, "There's no way he's fine. Something must be broken." Anyway, so
Yeah.
after I see all of that, I look at the floor, and it's just like, "Oh my gosh, I have that mess is mine to clean up."
Pins
And
everywhere.
I only had like maybe two people help me, so there were some gentlemen who did come to help me. So
That's
I
good.
I at least had nice people.
Yeah.
So it was a stark difference.
It's the Mr. Rogers thing. Whenever there's a problem or an issue, just look for the helpers.
Mm-hmm.
That's his whole thing, I think. I think that's what he said.
Okay, look for the helpers. Well, thankfully I found my helpers.
Yeah.
Wow.
There you go. Yeah, you never know what's going to happen. And that's, I don't know, I feel like I got a lot of reminders this weekend that I need to be ready for stuff. Between that accident happening outside, first thing Saturday morning, I don't think I took a picture of it. Let me take a quick look and see if I've got it. But there was a giant display that fell over on someone's booth. I don't think I have a picture. But their booth is probably about just as tall as mine, but it's down this way where my mouse is pointing.
Mm-hmm.
Very thin frame, no sandbags. And when they kicked on the AC for the building, as well as it being near where the dock doors were, damn near the whole thing got knocked over.
Wow.
As far as I know, and these things, I think it was about the same height. His were like 13 feet tall, maybe. People behind him didn't get hit. He wasn't even there. The guy that was running the booth wasn't even there. But it did fall the long way, knocked over a bunch of graded comic books that were slabbed in another dude's booth. And then apparently one of the supports did hit the guy in the head.
No.
Now, luckily, mind you, Friday I'm dealing with the car crash out there in the parking lot. Then Saturday morning, I hear this happen. I hear the whole thing come down. And then I hear someone cuss. And it's just quiet in here. Mind you, with the carpet on the floors, it's like dead quiet in this convention hall when nobody else is in there. Mm-hmm. So I just yell, "Are you okay?" And I hear some more cussing and a yes. So I go over there, and there's a dude holding his head, and he's just looking at the ground. He's got all these graded comics. Apparently, a couple of the cases got cracked. He's going to have to send those off to be re-slabbed, which is terrible. But I was, again, not super happy with the lack of response from the convention center. Like, the first aid coming out, that sort of thing. So, I don't know. It was a do what I can sort of thing at the time. It was like, dude, take pictures of your stuff that's on the floor, and if you're feeling lightheaded, let your neighbor know. What's your name? What's your name? You're friends now. If you're feeling lightheaded, say something. And then there was one more thing that happened. And this wasn't a fight, but Sunday night, we're packing up to leave, and this dude, he couldn't find his key to his master lock for his trailer. So he had to drive half an hour to, I think it was a U-Haul place or something, to get a new key to go back. Complete mess. And it's just one of those things in the back of my mind. I'm like, I don't know if I should admit this on camera, but master locks are really easy to get into if you have the right tools. I did not have my tools on me. So it's like, checklist, need to add that. Need to make sure that all my medical stuff is up to date. You never know. I feel like this was a big reminder this weekend that, like, anything could happen. Something terrible could happen, and you got to be ready. And if you don't have a first aid kit at a minimum in your vehicle, like, I feel like that needs to happen.
Well, I just have a medical kit sitting up in my bathroom. Maybe I need to move that into my car after all.
Yeah. I used to carry a fire extinguisher in my car, and then the pin broke on it. And I was just thinking, like, I need to add that too. Because, like, who knows? You get someone stuck in their car and the car's on fire. What are you gonna do? I don't know. Adrian says fights are dangerous, especially when head injuries are involved. It may seem fine now and could brush it off, walk away, but later that day they die of brain bleed. That was not true. And that's the same thing with that dude that was moving that car. Like he gets out and he's holding his chin, but I'm like, if he went down on the steering wheel, he could have concussion. He could have all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, you've had anything like that happen to you?
Head injuries, probably many. I know at least a couple, but is that what you mean? Head injuries?
Yeah, something like a baseball flying 100 miles per hour, or just like free falling on the back of your head, kind of thing.
I feel like I told this story recently, so someone throw a rock at me if you heard this one. So back when we were in like call it junior high, we were all about pro wrestling, and the one kid in our youth group didn't get the memo that we were just play wrestling. We weren't real wrestling. And he snuck up behind me and he suplexed me on the concrete. And I couldn't even open my eyes. I never felt so just that woozy, just. And I can hear him and my brother and the other couple of kids are standing over me like, Steve, are you okay? Are you okay? And I was like, stop talking. Just let me breathe for a second. So yeah, that was like probably the worst one. There's a couple others, but when you're tall, you bang your head into all kinds of stuff.
Oh, okay, fair enough. But
it happens. It happens. But
not being suplexed, it doesn't.
I mean, I thought that was kind of normal, but I'm just now finding out that's not okay. But I think kids, especially boys, you know, wrestling and stuff happens.
Yeah,
Stuff happens. All right, before we get into the AI conversation, I got one last fun topic just to keep things going here from spooky season stuff. Because it is Halloween almost. Do you have big plans for Halloween? Are you going out anywhere? Is that not your thing?
So my husband and I don't celebrate Halloween, but we do like to give candy out to the kids. So we don't really do any decorations or anything. If anything, I just say happy All Hallows Eve. And that being said, like, you guys enjoy Halloween, do your thing. I do gotta say, like, I get a lot of gigs for Halloween season. So hey, it's good for money.
There you go. Yeah, I'm not particular. I don't know. I used to like Halloween when I was younger. Anymore, it's just like I don't have time to decorate, let alone take the decorations down.
I used to like it, love it. In fact, I was definitely a Halloween girl. But just like over the years, I don't know. I guess like seeing how it's become like hyper demonic, like like almost like not fun scary anymore. It's just like legitimately, people are like legitimately like really a little cooler, I guess. Like it just got a little too hyper demonic for me. So I just started to like, maybe I should sit this one out. So just the hyperness of it, I guess.
Yeah. It's not fun anymore.
It's not fun. Okay, this roller coaster's not fun anymore, kind of thing.
Yep. Yeah. I remember back in grade school, you know, we were allowed to wear costumes for Halloween or whatever, and we do like a little trick or treat parade. We had a small school. It was super controversial that the one kid wore devil horns and a pitchfork. Mm-hmm. That was like nothing compared to what goes on now.
Like the cute little devil costumes weren't scary. They were funny.
Yeah. So you have the little drawn on like goatee and stuff with Sharpie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a different animal now.
Mm-hmm.
Which
So yeah, I mean, that being said, like, again, if you enjoy it, go enjoy it. But I just kind of sit Halloween out now, and just give candy to cute little kids.
yeah, yeah. I don't know when our community around here is doing trick or treat. I've always had in the back of my head that I want to like hand out candy and stuff, but my sister's coming home this weekend. I actually get to see her and her husband, and then hang out with family. And I've been doing like 3 or 4 shows back to back. So I'm like, you know what? If we're doing something for Halloween over there, great. If not, not concerned.
Mm, yeah, pretty much.
But have you had anything particularly spooky happen to you in your past?
Yes, actually.
Any like ghost stories, anything like that?
Yes, actually. Um, so I thought it was a dream at first, but now, you kind of get to a point where you kind of have to like ask yourself some questions, just like, was that real or was that my imagination? Well, I
Yeah.
I got my answer, that this was a legitimate thing. And since then, I've been like a little bit more aware, of like spiritual things, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, so
So
I
what
was
happened? What
so
happened?
I was 3 years old. I'm guesstimating around 3 years old, and I
Yeah.
remember I was still sleeping in a crib. Um, I saw like a woman's face, completely white, like, and face was cracked everywhere. Her lips were sewn, eyes completely black. Um, and I remember just like jolting on my pillow and screaming like, "Mom, Dad, I need you."
Wow.
And since then, like, it was just like maybe 2 seconds of a glimpse. And since then, and like, going through the years, I'm thinking about this face, and I'm thinking, oh, it had to have been a dream. But then, like, just one day, I just stop to think about it. It's like, why did it feel so real? Why did it feel like I actually had someone basically touching my nose, just like
Yeah.
1 inch away from my face, just almost ready to grab me? And so, oh gosh, I'm still getting chills thinking about it. And so I kind of had to. I asked around. I asked my family, my mom specifically, just like, what in the world, were any of our family members involved with? Well, I learned my grandmother practiced a lot of Santeria, um, and uh, and I have other family members who do Wicca, so it's just like, okay, so there's a reason that I saw that. And
Yeah.
since then I've just like, okay, I am gonna be like super Jesus freak, because absolutely hell no, hell
Yeah.
no, I'm not about that.
Yeah. You
So,
go to
and that's another thing why I can't really like celebrate Halloween like I used to, because I've seen that. So it hits a little too close to home.
yeah, that'll wake you up, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's I think that's an interesting way to go about it, is that there's a lot of people that are like, I don't have any evidence for God, this, that, the other. And I'm like, well, have you looked for evidence for evil? Because I have a
There
feeling
seems to be a lot.
I feel like you'd be scared to death to go looking around in the dark for that. So if you're
Yeah.
scared of that,
Uh-huh.
maybe, I don't know, maybe there's something to it.
Yeah. There's another thing that there's this family that I'm close to. The husband is like my big brother. Um, so he's told me that he's gone to Africa to, for deliverance ministries, and the stories are freaking crazy of what he's experienced over there. And like, he's seen people like demonize people, like go from go from just completely normal to like thrashing on the floor just from saying Jesus. And he also saw this. He also saw healing too, where like this man had a shriveled arm. He had one eye. I guess he couldn't even walk. He was just, he looked like a husk of a human being.
Yeah.
So anyway, him and his team prayed over this guy, and they saw him go to normal, like full on. He looks as normal as like, you know, you're a mom and pop dude, I guess.
Wow.
But yeah, no, he told me some crazy stories. The most memorable one for me though, and he said it in a way, it's just like, I experienced this type of stuff so much that he said it in such a normal way that it's just like, how can you see this as normal? But he moved into this house, and he noticed that there were strange happenings going on in it, and so he decided to look into the history. Well, turns out that there was someone who had practiced witchcraft in this house, and this person used like I guess yin yang balls, the ones that you would roll on your hand.
Yeah.
And they were just kind of sitting in the house, just collecting dust. But apparently, they have a spirit attached to them. So he was like, okay, whatever. And so he just waited and waited to get that done, saying he'll get those things out at some point. Only his wife calls him and goes, hey, so have you taken care of that thing yet? And he just goes, oh, no, not yet. And so the wife just kind of goes, I'll do it. So she gets out the balls, she takes them outside, and she just smashes them with a hammer. And apparently a scream comes out of those balls. She just hears a scream like going all around her. And then whatever presents they had at that house disappeared after she crashed them.
Wow.
And gosh, again, getting chills. So yeah, like that one experience with me, and then like meeting him, and he's saying, oh, I actually have those experiences all the time. So I was like, oh my goodness, yay, someone gets it.
Buck wild.
Yes, very.
And there's no, I don't know, like because I grew up in a very let's say conservative Baptist house.
Mm-hmm.
We were selectively conservative, I'll say. We're conservative most of the time, but selective when we needed to be. Like, I don't recall there being a manual on how to deal with spirits being tied to objects.
No one does. No one ever has a manual like that.
Well, and if they do, it usually is, you know, the witch's book that they have over the pot. You know, it's like they have the list.
Yeah.
There was a girl I dated a long time ago that they swore their house was haunted, and someone told them to get like a jar with like a dead bird in it and like leave it in the area where they think that something was going on. And she said it worked. And I'm like, what is happening? What is happening?
Yeah, that would work only for a while.
Yeah, how many dead birds do you got to get? Is this like a weekly thing? Like,
I mean, honestly, as soon as I realized that darkness has a counterpart with the light of Jesus, well, that's when I've learned that I have had a significant difference of more joy and lightness and not so much craziness happening as much whenever I really focus on him. So...
Have you ever been haunted house hunting? And I'm not just talking like haunted houses, like
no,
like abandoned houses, abandoned properties.
No, I've never done that, and before I definitely would not have, but now I'm just like, what would happen if I did at least go to one? Because I would at least want to do there to like just fight. Because sometimes I just want to beat a demon's nose in, but I have a morbid curiosity. That's the way I'll put it. But I'll probably do it once and then never again.
I'm pulling up there's like a most haunted place. I think they tore down at Ohio University, called the Ledges, and it was an abandoned tuberculosis ward. That's what it was.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't go to school at OU. I didn't go to college at all. I just showed up at other people's colleges to drink. But this place, here we
That
go.
ghost better be. Hang on a second. If my home was haunted, the ghost better be helping with the rent and mortgage because they're not living here. Better to just kick them out then because they're just there to. No.
Just occupying space, asking for the Wi-Fi.
No kidding.
Look at this.
They really do. So that's the tuberculosis home.
Look at this. Yep. So that was okay. To set the stage, it's around Halloween. It's definitely fall. It's cold, and me and a bunch of my buddies, we were in a metal band, and one of the girlfriends had connections down to OU, so we were crashing with them for the weekend, hanging out, partying, drinking, and they brought up the Ledges, is what they called it, which is this building here, I believe. They got several buildings down there in this complex, and I think this kind of looks familiar. So during the day, one of the guys really wanted to go scout it out. He's like, dude, I want to get in there. I want to check it out. My concern is from the practical of broken glass, probably animals, if not animal dung everywhere. Also, could be like drugged out homeless guys living in there doing Lord knows what, and they probably aren't going to be happy to see us around the corner. I'm a very practical haunted house hunter. But yes, I do remember this. Okay, so during the day, we couldn't find a way in. We walked around, plus it's daylight, like people could see it kind of snooping around. So that night, I thought it was done. We had been drinking. I was drinking White Russians at the time, like the dude.
Those are delicious.
Oh, yeah. And suddenly they're like, hey, we want to go check out the Ledges again. So I'm like, dude, it's a waste of time. We already walked around, but fine, whatever, let's go. We were not prepared to go into this building. But what we found, actually, this might be I think this might actually be where it was. In the back, one of these windows down along the basement had a piece of plywood over it where it looked like it was nailed shut. It wasn't nailed shut. So we just pushed it. We all looked at each other. And we're like, what do we have for flashlight? Well, back then, this is back in like probably 2006, 7 maybe. You don't really have flashlights on your phone. So all we had was my Zippo lighter, and I had an iPod mini from back in the day. So we're trying to use these two lights to navigate this building in the complete dark. And apparently, this is an old tuberculosis ward where they would have people pretty much come to die because at the time there wasn't really a cure. It was just, this is where you were terminally sick until you died. And allegedly, there was a tunnel that went from this building to another building where the crematorium was. We couldn't find a tunnel. But there were 3 places we would not go into. First one was the obvious one. There's a set of stairs. I was looking real quick to see if there was a picture of the stairway. There's a set of stairs that goes up, and it has that crawl space underneath. You know those 2 little doors that you can like get in?
Yeah.
Not a chance in hell we're going. Look at this.
Oh no.
Yeah, you don't want to be. This is why you shouldn't go going through old abandoned houses. They fall apart sometimes. The second spot was there's a crawl space between the first floor and the basement, and I checked that out. Crawl space between the first floor and the basement is about 3 feet tall, and I'm like, we're not going down there. Number 1, you can't fit. Number 2, there's spiders everywhere. That ain't gonna happen. And then 3, I'm like, if you're gonna run into like a raccoon or something, that's the spot. Totally awful. The last place, and this was the spookiest one, which is where I'll conclude my spooky story as I'm showing you more pictures of the TV ward down in OU. There was a room that when you turned into it, it was almost like an old janitor's closet. It was maybe 5 feet wide, probably 10 feet deep. And then it turned the corner. So where most places it would just be like that's where your mops and your stuff are in this little closet. This had like a nook that went around the side. And it felt super creepy walking in. You walk to the end of that 10 feet, and then you turn and you just look down this small corridor that doesn't lead to anywhere. It's maybe 3 feet wide and probably another 10 feet long. Everyone that got to that spot and looked down there, it was chills down the spine.
Ooh.
Just even talking about it now, I'm like, ugh. That's when we were like, you know what? We could probably leave and be fine now.
Yes, that's where you say, "Go, let's go home now and pray the blood, pray the blood."
Yeah,
No.
exactly. So yeah, this is them tearing down that building because kids like me going in there. But apparently at OU, there is a tunnel system that connects a bunch of these buildings that also goes down into the town. Because I've had buddies that went back there and they said they actually could get down underneath the street where like the bars are. Just wild. You could just go walk around underneath the city.
Oof.
Crazy stuff.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So you want to go check out some abandoned buildings?
Let me think about it. Let me think about it.
Good.
Maybe technically I did it already, even though I didn't really mean to. And it's not. The thing is, it wasn't an abandoned building. It was actually the day before I was getting married, and also the morning of getting married. So there is this hotel in Salado, Texas, that has had history of paranormal activity. Now, I personally wasn't really asking that we use it for anything like that because I didn't really want to I wasn't anything for that. I just want a pretty historic hotel for my guests. That is all. I don't want to know about the ghosts. Thank you.
Right.
Well, turns out that that wasn't really going to be up to me. Because 3 of my friends are rather sensitive, and one of my bridesmaids ended up getting a yellow room, and it was like a cute little attic nook.
That already sounds haunted. The Yellow Room.
The Yellow Room.
Yeah, that's a movie title. That's got to be.
Oh, it sounds like the movie title, right?
Coming next fall. The Yellow Room.
You know what? I probably should. Since Abigail does have horror, maybe I should make another in the 1950s called The Yellow Room.
There you go.
There you go.
I think you got something there.
I think I do. Because unless one of y'all want to take it, but either way,
she'll sell it to you for the right price.
Yeah, $2,000, please. All right. So it was called the Yellow Room, and it was a little attic nook. My bridesmaid, who was given this room, she's not paranormal. She has no real, clue about the paranormal. I didn't either at the time. But we sat down, and just while we were talking, I felt almost like electricity, like the electricity you get on your back when someone's watching you.
Yeah.
It felt, and I was trying to ignore it so hard, but it's like, no, there's nothing back there. I rebuke it in Jesus' name. I started rebuking, and I was even like, what am I rebuking? Anyway, but then my friend who was sensitive, she was just like, she didn't feel comfortable in that room at all. Apparently, one of our friends decides to go and open the little window that was at the end, and suddenly she freaked and was like, I can't be in this room, and she walked out. And so I was just like, okay, well,
you got your next book here. This is your next book. I'm telling you.
This does feel like the next book, right? Anyway, so we decided that we're gonna leave that room because it's just like, okay, this is too creepy. Well, I didn't hear about this until after the ceremony. But I meet my bridesmaids like, a few weeks after everything. Um, and they told me what they noted. So the two ones that are sensitive, while they were in that room. So my friend Sam, she couldn't turn her key, and she couldn't unlock the door. So she tells Jennifer, "Let's go downstairs and just see if they can get us a key. Like use a skeleton key." They go, they come back, and they noticed that the door was open. It was locked. They tested it, um, and so that they had no clue. Like, no, we tried the door, it wouldn't open. We don't know what that's about. And then my friend Hannah, now she definitely does not really give any real thought to the paranormal, but she said when she looked at one of the pictures, one of the eyes were like phased out, like it was just white eyes, and she was like tried to blink and then stare a little longer, and then just, okay, let's get going. Like that was the morning of my wedding.
Yikes.
Yeah. So since then, I I just I just tried to ignore the whole situation, but now that I finally acknowledge that I was attacked by a demon all those years ago, I'm just like, okay, there were demons in that hotel. No, hands down.
I don't think anyone can provide empirical proof that proves anything. That's where faith and beliefs come in. At the same time, there's so much wild stuff that happens. There's more going on.
For sure. I can say
There's
that for sure.
100%. There's more going on. there's
There,
so much.
absolutely. Actually, let's look at the comments here, like their input. So if the ghost friend wants to turn on the lights and open the cabinets, better do the dishes. Wow, wouldn't that be nice? Haunted houses, but what about the asbestos poisoning though? That would scare me more than the ghosts. Actually, okay. Remind me what asbestos is again.
That's that's like a fibrous sort of thing that they use for fireproof material.
Mm-hmm.
The big health concern was they started to find links to it with mesothelioma. So if you breathe that stuff in, it gets stuck in your lungs and causes cancer and all kinds of horrible stuff, if I remember correctly.
Oh, that's creepy. Oof.
Yeah, between that and like lead paint, not to mention like depending on what's going on with these buildings that you're going into, you could have potential like carbon monoxide gas, all kinds of nasty stuff.
Ew. Yeah, no, for sure. Then maybe I shouldn't. I should totally like strike that off my bucket list too. Like never.
Nah, you should totally do it. You should totally do it.
The yellow wallpaper by Charlotte Perkins Gilman, because of course Adrian would know history books. Famous psychological horror story. It does feature a room with yellow wallpaper. There you go.
Well, someone beat you to the punch.
Oh, well, it says yellow wallpaper. I just said the yellow room.
I think the yellow room is a great name. Great name. So did Charlotte. Charlotte thought that was a great name too, however many years ago.
Actually, well, the main character of Abigail is named Charlotte.
So. Would you look at that?
Yep. Oh, Lord.
Spooky connections. Well, the last one was up towards the top there. We also had one from James saying he's excited to bring the little ones around for Halloween. It makes the biggest difference. And I think that's the thing, is as long as you got kids there having fun and they got proper context and all that good stuff, like have fun, do your thing. Like, I don't know. Just keep them away from the kid with the devil horns. That one, kid's weird.
Yeah, sure. Again, like, hey, just if you're cute enough, I'll give you some candy. So
is that the rule? Kids show up at your doorstep and you're like, I don't know, you're cute enough. Maybe you get the box of raisins.
I mean, how would there are a lot of kids though that come in wearing Freddy Krueger, and they're 5-year-olds who are fans of Freddy Krueger, and I'm just like, why are your parents letting you see that young?
There are kids that will come up and they'll start pointing out and they'll be like Ghostface, Pumpkinhead, Pinhead, and I haven't. They're pointing to these prints that I've got. I haven't seen half these movies. These kids can name all of them.
I know. Actually, so I do have some. When I was a big fan of Has Been Hotel, I did draw a lot of pictures from it, specifically a ship that I really like because I'm a total shipper girl, I admit. But kids would look at them, and I mean like younger than 10 years old, saying like, oh, it's Alistair and Charlie, and like that is an adult cartoon that you shouldn't be watching yet.
It's wild. I don't envy any parent these days the
No.
amount that kids have access to.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'll see all the time at Comic Cons, like there'll be a group of kids, sometimes boys, sometimes girls, whatever, dressed up as all the South Park characters. And at first, I think it's hilarious that these kids are into South Park. At the same time, I'm like, most of that's, well, there's certainly worse material out there. Most of it's not appropriate for 10, 11 years old. I don't know.
I don't know either. Like I am not a parent yet, but I certainly know that that's not gonna be good for my kids. Like I do want them to grow up to like slowly start being introducing into like, hey, there's shows like this, but you have to be old enough to see them.
Right. Yeah, that was, like I said, we were selectively conservative.
Yeah. Okay. That I understand. When you say selectively conservative.
Yes. That was. I was telling Matt last weekend that like growing up, there's a ton of movies that I didn't see as a kid or growing up, but I do remember my first rated R movie was Cliffhanger, and as a kid, I was just, again, you get desensitized to violence before you do anything else as a kid, especially growing up through the 90s, between the video games and everything else. I couldn't believe how many times they dropped the F word in that movie, which probably wasn't that much by today's standards. But as a kid, I go to school the next day. I'm in like second grade. I'm like, guys, my mind is blown. Like, these guys say the F word all the time. All the time. It's kind of amazing. So if that's how I felt when I was in like second grade years ago, I can't imagine kids. I don't know.
Kids now, yes, especially. Yeah. Actually, oh gosh, let's see. The cosplayers 10 to 14 dressed as Has Been Hotel characters. Lord, do I have a story for you? Okay, I don't know how. Actually, you probably don't know it at all, and if you definitely don't, it's a blessing. But so you've been in communities that were super toxic, right? When they really like a show, but then like they're a little too obsessive over the show that they would like.
Of course.
Yes.
Of course.
So the Has Been Hotel community is definitely where I would put in the category of I am not going to associate with these people anymore. But like a lot of it is over ships. I don't know how familiar you are to ships, right?
Like boats?
No. Okay. Well, no. It's short for relationship.
Okay.
So like people who want to like put this character to be boyfriend and girlfriend or whatever kind of thing.
I just like totally put myself out there as not having a freaking clue what's going on anymore. You mean like boats?
No, what? You know what? I appreciate that you don't care, that you don't know about them because you don't want to. But so there is like a whole community of people who ship a guy, the main guy and the main girl, but in the show they're just friends. However, people who ship the canon couple accuse the the fandom, the fanon, I guess, couple. They pretty much call them all the names in the book, call them evil, just treat them like complete trash. And my gosh,
So these are
it's
kids that are like, when I say kids, it could be any age, I
I,
guess. They're
yeah,
It's like fanfic. They want these two to be together, but not these two, kind of thing.
basically. And
Okay.
when he said like 10 to 14 years old, that's not an exaggeration. These are kids who are basically accusing, cursing these other kids, for to death. Like,
Yeah, well, they
yes,
should. They're
yeah,
going
no.
against the canon. Why bother making a thing if we're just going to make our own thing?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, like, let's call them up. Does anyone know these kids?
Oh wow.
That's a weird thing to be saying on stream.
Okay, but going on with the
Yeah.
story. So
Yep.
I actually, before I left the fandom, I was one of the ones who shipped the fanon couple because I think they have better chemistry. But of course, that was when I was just like, I was involved, but then like I backed away. I was like, I'm not going to be a part of this drama. Well, I was in Baltimore. I did have like one of my pieces up there that had like the art style. And the characters look like the fanon couple. Well, a girl maybe 14, just like maybe 14, maybe 15, she looks up at the drawing and says, "Oh my gosh, who would ship that?" And she did this right in front of my table.
Wow.
So she didn't even see me that I was watching her. and so I actually go like, "Hello." And she sees me, hey, I'm not gone from the table and I am the artist. Well, her eyes go wide and she starts trying to speed walk out of here. And so I shout over to her and say, "You don't like what I shipped?" And she runs.
Wow.
And the thing is that it looked like her mother and her sister were right behind her and they were laughing at her. Not me. They were laughing at her when she ran out of there.
This is I'm learning a lot right now. Because about the closest that I've got is like this guy right here, this little xenomorph buddy I got.
Uh-huh.
I've had people come up to me and inform me that it's not the proper anatomy for a xenomorph. They don't have these spikes on their back. So I can't call it a xenomorph. That's about the closest I've got to a ship situation in my life.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Honestly, that's a lot. I would say that that's a better criticism to
Also,
what
guys,
that entire thing would be.
did
Oh,
I tell you about this too?
you didn't tell me about it, but I know that symbol. That is
Yeah.
Berserk. And I actually used to really love that manga. I still love that manga.
Well, I apparently drew this wrong. I've had this print for like 2 years, and I was informed that just recently, within the last few weeks, that I drew the rune wrong. That these actually are, I don't know if they're Nordic, but it is by nature, the rune itself is a sexual rune, pretty much showing conception. But what I drew wasn't that. What I drew was female anatomy with an icicle, suggesting the complete opposite instead of fertility, infertility. I'm being told this in the middle of a Comic-Con, and I'm like, buddy, I was just more focused on this guy right here.
Okay, I didn't know that at all.
I don't even know if it's true.
I don't even know if it's true either. It's okay. No. So in the show itself, according to the wiki, it is a brand of sacrifice. I'm sure you've seen the whole show, and it doesn't say.
I haven't seen any of it. I don't know. I honestly know nothing about Berserk. I just draw it.
Well, like the best nutshell I can give you about it is that there is a man who's cursed to be murdered by demons, and that symbol is proof that his soul belongs to them. So he pretty much wanders the entire earth, killing these demons because he hates them.
Interesting.
Yeah. So anyway, it's a lot more complicated than the way I just. So I just gave you a super nutshell.
What is the ship situation with Berserk? Are there a lot of ship fandoms going on where they want Guts to hook up with?
Well, so Guts is already in love with someone. The thing is that the woman he's in love with, so she also has the brand as well. But when she got that brand, a really bad situation happens to her, and she loses her mind. So he basically just wanders with her at first. Until like his rage got so bad that he ends up hurting her, and so she doesn't trust him anymore. She ended up losing all faith in men when she loses her mind. She can't, but so she only feels trusting to like a little girl that everyone knew. So it's a really sad story.
These giant demons, and she's like, "I'm gonna stick with the little girl. Screw these guys."
Yeah, basically.
Maybe I need to see it for myself.
You do. I do recommend it. It's a really good story. You're gonna cry, though. If you want to,
I don't know that I will.
Well. Okay. Well then.
I'm a cold-hearted son of a gun sometimes.
Okay. Well, that's fine. If you're able, you're able to emotionally hold yourself together through all this, God bless you.
Yeah, that's what we like to hear. Folks in the chat, real quick, while I'm going to plug a couple things. If you have a ship situation that you want to fix, maybe it's instead of Fred and Wilma, maybe it's Fred and Betty. Maybe instead of, I don't know. I'm like running out of famous couples now.
I mean, there's a bunch of stories here. What about Uraraka and sorry, that's a girl's name from My Hero Academia. And Deku, Uraraka and Deku. Yeah, it's a very strange name. But that is a ship that is encouraged in the show. But like other young people, which is very strange, they like to ship the a little more stranger couples, let's say it like that. Oh gosh. For Halloween, I ship Jack Skellington and Elsa from Frozen, and I draw fan art of them together. She does, and it's actually really pretty fan art.
Who was it?
Adrian, Slim.
Oh, I gotcha. I got really lost for a second. My ability to multitask is awful. I think I completely closed. Oh no, I found it. I was trying to find this window here so I could do a couple quick plugs while we're getting our ships from the audience.
Yep. Okay. I'll be back in a bit. Gonna get the kiddos to bed. All right. You have fun, James.
James. I'm going to hang out for a little bit, James. It is what? It's 8:30. Definitely going till 9. We'll see how I'm doing after that.
Yeah, and on my end it's 7:28.
Let's see. So are you streaming tonight on Twitch?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. So guys, if you haven't added Evine Arts over on Twitch, I'll admit I tried tuning in. I believe it was last night because we had the schedule mix up.
Oh yeah.
With when you're coming on, and I was so tired. I tuned in for about 5 minutes, and I passed out.
It's okay. Honestly, I was having some really, really bad technical difficulties last night, and like even today, I've told you that the internet has been really bad, and so there's a chance I might not stream tonight if the internet continues to be being this bad.
Yes. Well, the internet. I actually got a notice from Spectrum that my bandwidth here got increased, and I didn't have a problem before, but apparently it's even better now.
Oh well, okay, well that's fun.
Who knew? Humble brag, right?
Yep, it's a good brag. I do have a specific concern with AI that I would love to hear you guys discuss if it's possible.
Absolutely. Seeing as that was what I was going to talk about tonight, and simply did not get. While you're typing your question about AI, could you fathom a guess how much money is being spent by our government on AI. Call it over the last couple of years. Just throw out a number.
Oh my gosh. Maybe like hundreds of billions, I want to say, because now it's made such leaps and bounds of what it used to be that now you can't distinguish what was drawn to what was made by the computer, and I don't like that.
Well,
I said hundreds of billions.
You're a little high right now for the first few years. So up to August of 2022, they were looking at 260 million. Up to 2023, this is just for the U.S. military, which is about roughly half. So call it 500 million ish, and then call it 1.2 billion in August of 2023. Could you fathom and guess how much they're spending now?
I mean, if they spent like 67 freaking million, 67.
That's just for the military.
That's just for the military. Okay,
and it's about half of what they spend total. So realistically,
so then would you say like 1.6 trillion, 1.2 trillion at this point?
Well, we're still in billions.
Okay.
But at the end of what was it? 23 going into 24, $32 billion. And that's on non-defense AI innovation.
Oh, jeez.
So, and it's funny how they word all this stuff, because 32 billion in non-defense, and the defense budget gets about half. So that means it's probably more like 64 billion. But wait, there's more.
Oh no.
The request for 2024's budget was to increase for cybersecurity threats, $67 billion in defense for cyber, $145 billion for research and development, and $33 billion for space capabilities. That's 170, 183, 184 billion dollars requested just for Department of Defense. That has grown the most. The Department of Energy was requesting $8.8 billion. Homeland Security, which does tie into the military, requested more. And then NIH, wherever that was, they also requested even more. So we went from maybe $1 billion prior to 23 to maybe a couple billion in 23 to now we're talking about hundreds of billions of dollars.
Holy cow.
So when you think about how much they could possibly be concerned about Artist Alley having AI generated images.
Yeah, I have heard that there was that they're cracking down on AI and some are not cracking down, which is a huge slap in the face to us. Actually, so Slim just sent me I don't know if it's something you would want to watch. So she just sent me something that we can watch during the interview that looks like AI. And
can you screen share it?
Yeah, let me do that. Well, I would have to do it on myself. Actually, give me a second. I'm gonna send it to our chat in Insta and go from there.
Cool. I'm gonna do my best to figure that out on my end because I should be able to share it.
Do you not know how to screen share?
Oh, I do. I have been screen sharing. I just gotta think real hard for a minute with my brain.
No.
Here we go.
Okay, so pulling it open.
Okay, I think I got it here.
My name is Brooklyn. Oh, you got it?
Yeah. Let me screen share here.
Oh.
I don't have audio, I don't think. I don't know if that's important or not.
What on earth? Are you sure that looks...
That's the link you sent me.
Okay. Okay, I'm looking at it.
Okay, so her comments in the chat said, Kenya Moore from the Real Housewives of Atlanta reality show wrote a children's book with her daughter Brooklyn. On a TV interview, Kenya said she did all the illustrations herself, but I'm looking at the illustrations online and I think it's AI. I don't want to assume, but I'm suspicious.
Okay. Dang it. Hang on.
So this, I'm assuming this is her account. She said Brooklyn.
I have a specific. Kenya Moore, the Real Housewives of Atlanta reality show, wrote a children's book with her daughter Brooklyn. On a TV interview, Kenya said she did all the illustrations herself, but I'm looking at the illustrations online and I think it's AI. Don't want to assume, but I'm suspicious. I mean, looking at it really closely, like I even have it pulled up right here on my end.
Okay, so is this the image that's on the screen right now? Is this supposed to be an illustration?
Yeah, according to Kenya Moore, that this is all hand drawn, or maybe it was digitally made. It does look AI. It does look like AI.
Does her daughter work for Pixar?
I don't know anything. It's like, yeah, does she work for Pixar?
It looked like the Instagram account that we just had open. This looked like a child. That is Brooklyn, I believe.
Yeah. Okay, so her Brooklyn is her child, and according to her, she's the one who did these images. You know what, though? In a way, maybe she says that maybe she did it on AI and says that she did it herself, because I can tell you for a fact that I have met 2 women now in my life who were very good business women, but then they would type something up in AI, and once the AI image generated, they were like, I'm the one who designed that. It's like, huh? And I can't, I was trying to give them both a benefit of a doubt. But then what made me just like stop the benefit altogether was when, well, I was drawing something and I was asked to replace one of the images I drew with an image that was picked out from Google. And I understand that she was trying to help me, but it was really insulting. It was a huge slap in the face. But like, okay, the lady herself, super, super sweet, very, very, very sweet, but I couldn't really tell her that's not, that was really, really, that was bad. Yeah. So since then, I've just been like, I can't say that you did that. That was a computer that did that. So
it falls back to, like, if I tell somebody I want a commission done and they draw me a picture of something that I described to them, I did not design that drawing. I told somebody what to do. And that's ultimately what copyright law, they've referenced that about a year ago now when it comes to AI, which is why you can't necessarily copyright stuff that you create with AI. Because they say that you're effectively acting as somebody who is getting a commission done. You're commissioning a digital tool to create a thing. So it's pretty deceptive to say that you illustrate it. But I've got great news. I think this was 100% drawn by this Brooklyn girl. 100%.
All right, let's hear it.
No, I'm like super artistic. And this girl that's, I think, is 11 or 12, I think she definitely did this. She's just really good. She's really good.
Okay.
Sorry. That's my anticlimactic. I think we went to pull off the mask off of the Scooby-Doo villain. And it turned out it was Brooklyn the whole time. She did it.
All right. All right.
No, there's definitely more going on here. Maybe she drew pictures as a reference and an artist created her vision. That right there, that feels like AI video. I think I might have some pulled up. I pulled up some fun AI stuff to look at, but like this is a Star Wars trailer that was set to be like the old Panavision style, but it's always got sort of these simple motions that don't really go too far. They just kind of hover around in one scene. Here he looks like he's gonna make out with Yoda.
Yeah, that looks strange.
Look at that! Ship that! Luke and Yoda, what? Down in the swamp? Holy smokes! Who'd have thought? But this little waving motion here, this feels, I don't know, that especially, golly, that's, I don't know. If we had better high-res images and you could actually zoom in and actually see stuff.
Yeah, fair enough.
I just don't. So, to what you were saying earlier about someone claiming that they made this or they designed this, there was an artist at one of the cons that that I was doing that had some amazing art, and I was asking him like, "Hey, did you make this?" He said, "Yeah, I made this." And I said, "How did you make this?" "Oh, I used Photoshop." "Okay. What else did you do?" "Well, I bounced between Photoshop and Clip Studio." "Okay."
But with what technique did you use?
Most artists can go into, yeah, I usually do like a rough sketch layer. I use some photo references, but I will use a rough sketch layer, go in with another layer, put it on the opacity down. Like they can walk you through it.
Thank you, Adrian. Okay.
It's but at the end he was saying, I made all of these prints. And to someone that doesn't know how to drill down the questions and ask them specifically, how did you make them, and understand that they're being told BS, would never know. Most customers don't want to have a confrontation in Artist Alley. They just want to buy cool stuff.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where we're at.
Honestly, so this probably could be an idea that that conventions can take on. So I was trying to think of a way, okay, what would have to be done as proof that people have done the image, or at least like the person that before them is truly an artist who did his or her work by hand. And I was thinking, well, I personally would ask for like video proof of them working on this piece. So like, there's the hand, there's the image, there's you working on it. That to me, I would require video proof of you working on one of the pieces, and that you send me, so I know for a fact that this isn't BS. So
yeah,
that is something I would want conventions to consider doing.
Yeah, I've heard of instances at some shows that really take it to heart where they've required that. I'm going to show a video real quick. There was an artist. Have you heard of the artist Will Jack?
Will Jack?
Yeah, Will Jack.
No.
So there was a publisher. Make sure I got all my screens here. There we go. There was a publisher that had accused him of using AI. Now, this dude has phenomenal like commissions that he does using like Copic markers and colored pencils. His digital stuff is on a whole nother level. So the suspicion was that he was feeding in a drawing that he had done and letting the computer do the heavy lifting.
Oh.
And there was a publisher who will remain nameless that was taking images and putting them in those AI detectors that will detect what percent is AI. Spoiler alert, they're not always accurate. I put some of my artwork in that's 100% traditional, and I've had times where it said it's 60% AI.
Oh my gosh.
So it's like, who knows? But his response to the guy was, hey, dude, I can appreciate your concern and trying to keep comics on the up and up, but here is my process video. And it's not how I would approach a drawing, but I can more or less see what he's doing, how he's painting.
And AI doesn't like go back the way he did. He took steps back in order for him to redo the colors.
Right.
So and Adrian's way is also really good. Or good lord, when I see her name as Adrian instead of Slim, I get mixed up. Let's see. She would draw quick Bugs Bunny to Quality Doubts. That's another reason, but Lord have mercy.
Yeah. So part of the concern once you get into like an artist alley situation is that some of these places put up absolutely no AI assisted anything. Some places don't care. Actually, I should say most places don't really reinforce anything. But like that was Will Jack's response here was this video. One of the things that I saw recently at a show, saw this in Harrisburg, artist will remain nameless for, because I don't have anything to back it up, but then too, I also don't remember who it was. He had amazing drawings, and if you look through his portfolio, like through his older prints, he had some amazing stuff, and then suddenly it has this AI level of coloring to it, where it still looks like his drawings, but it looks like it was painted
by AI.
Yeah. So there's allegedly been people that have been kicked out of shows because they've been using that method, and if they have a staunch no AI policy, then there's not much you can do. Yeah. I don't know. There's gonna be more and more people justifying it, though.
Well, if what I've experienced with those ladies is enough of a story for you, yeah, there are going to be people who are going to justify doing AI is another form of art. Like, no, I can genuinely say it's not. And remember that conversation where I say what art is and what art isn't? I will never call AI art.
Yeah, it's an image. I guess I'm not excited about debating what art is, just because it's so subjective. It's more or less there has not been precedent set legally for this material that's being generated.
Gotcha.
And until then, so this is New York Comic Con. This is their Leap event page. Mm-hmm. So if you're going to sign up for New York Comic Con, it strictly says sale of material or artwork produced by tracing or use of artificial intelligence is strictly prohibited. I didn't see it in their application here, but there are some cons that will give instructions on how to report this kind of stuff. So if it's me and I notice that my neighbor has some very obviously AI looking stuff, I'm probably not going to say anything, just because I'm not trying to ruffle feathers.
I mean, I understand, but then I guess in a way I would say principally, in a principle kind of way, that isn't right, because it's still a big slap in the face for the rest of us. And there are, maybe it's more than one, but one publisher is already using AI to create cover art for like DC characters and all that. And it's just like, that should be illegal. I 100% would say that should be illegal.
So here's I'm gonna bring up a gray area, because I've got some buddies that do like super realistic pencil renderings.
Yes.
Where they actually trace the outline of the characters, so everything's properly in proportion, and then they go in and they hand render, and they'll spend 20, 30, 40, 80 hours on one piece. And technically, like, per the policy here, they traced it.
Oh, wow.
So would you send an email? Would you reach out to? I wouldn't, because I know that what they did to make that picture happen isn't the same as typing in a prompt and getting an image through an AI generator.
Man, okay, now
but they trace.
But that is actually really, really hard, because So I'm not as proficient when it comes to like super delicate buildings.
Hmm?
Like I can do details on people all day long, but buildings, that is where I would like get a lot of reference and almost tracing the images. Matter of fact, my boss Bray actually said like, okay, we're gonna learn one of these days like to try not to do that so much, like like tracing the buildings that I have in like low opacity. And
Marvel does it.
yeah, there you go. And it's just like, oh my gosh, that is actually a hard part because that is something I'm not proficient at.
No.
I can run circles around you drawing Bugs Bunny and Lola Bunny all day, but and pinup girls, but
You can try to put them in a palace.
still I
It's
try
good.
to put them in a palace exactly.
And then it's going to take a minute. Yeah. And at the end of the day, that for us, that when we're putting up prints and stuff, we're not necessarily focused on, I want to make this amazing background. It's, I want the character to look great. Background's sort of an afterthought.
Mm.
So one of the things I saw I was trying to get better at doing my digital coloring. And one of these artists on YouTube had suggested using either images of like pictures you've taken yourself, like actual photographs, or buying clip art of scenery, blurring it, maybe even using a Photoshop filter to make it look more painterly, blurring it and using that for your background.
Like, have I done that or?
So I guess the reason I'm posing this is what is worse, tracing a building from a reference that you're using, or just dropping in a photograph and using a Photoshop filter.
Oof.
This is why I don't get in the weeds with this stuff, because it's like, I don't think it's
Man,
the spirit of the rules, and I'm not there to like debate rules with people.
man, that is a tough one. Again, not super proficient when it comes
No.
to backgrounds, and I have used background wallpapers before. You know,
Hmm?
of course, like Photoshop filters.
Right.
Um, and I got I got knocked for that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and not by like people, not by people, like by my boss actually.
Yeah.
Um, and, and I'm not saying he's, you know, he just like bad. I'm just like, be careful.
No.
Yeah, so because that will be something that fans will notice, and they will attack you for that. And so, you know, he's explaining this to me, and I'm just like, ugh, like it's it's already hard enough needing to learn how to create backgrounds. And now it's going to be even harder needing to really focus on making backgrounds to really like bring in your story, make them into making them into as much of a characteristic as the character you're trying to portray.
Right.
And man, it's a hard road being a comic artist, and you
Yeah.
cannot, and you know, and you learning not to cut any corners.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll tell you what. Let's bring in another perspective here. I got we got James in the back room. Let me pull James up here, buddy. Let me bring him up. James, what's up, brother?
Hi, James.
Yo, what's going on, guys?
What's
Nothing too
happening?
much.
How's
Well, maybe a lot since we're
Yeah.
here together now.
How's the fam doing?
Good. Everybody's going to bed. So
Hallelujah.
it's that time. All the children are snuggled away, getting ready for Halloween tomorrow.
There you go.
All right, it's the 31st tomorrow. Crazy.
Yes, it is.
Do we have costumes picked out?
Yes. I have a little Spider Gwen, and I have a little Transformers Spider-Man.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Apparently, that exists.
Transformers
Yeah,
Spider-Man. I like it.
It's called like Mech Strike or something. I don't know. It must be some sort of mobile game thing.
Oh wow.
It's one of those mobile games.
Yeah,
I
I've
like
not
it.
heard about it until like recently. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
James,
we're really excited.
So James, let's say you're you're posed with this situation where you need to get a print done for the weekend. You've got limited time. You have the character drawn, but that background is gonna kill you. Do you trace a building? Do you drop in clip art with a blurred effect? Or do you just whip up some nonsense in the background that's only going to take a minute? What do you do?
I have done the clip art blurred in the background. I've done that before. I will admit to that.
Me too.
But yeah, no, I mean, I would take a reference and pull pieces from it. I have a lot of
Did someone die in Starbucks?
Yeah, geez, what's going on?
It's you got some interesting background noise.
Yeah.
Okay. Do I need to mute myself?
You might. It seems like it's gotten louder.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's fine. I'm muting myself now.
There you go. Perfect.
Yeah, I've used like stamps and stuff to kind of cheat my way through it, but I don't know. Yeah, the backgrounds aren't awful, but yeah, I wouldn't do any like AI baloney. Just wouldn't do that.
Yeah, to me it's like, because I've looked on Etsy and I've looked on some of these sites like ArtStation where you can buy sometimes hundreds of clip art backgrounds and things for $5, $10, $15.
Mm-hmm.
Other than, okay, that is a transaction there that someone is getting paid for. Hopefully they're not just AIing all that stuff. What's the difference between using that and just using an AI generator?
Good question. I would like to think that I'm taking something that I'm being given and making it new in some light, right? I'm not just taking it and being like, yeah, there it goes, that works for me. Yeah. You know, because I'm more often than not, it's gonna look a little weird or look a little off. I've been yelled at before, by the way, by editors that have been like, you can't use these stamps or you can't use this clip art. It just doesn't look like it fits. It doesn't fit there. It's too like generic-y looking. There's no flow or anything to it. So yeah, I mean, right. So
like, what kind of clip art are you using? Like, what would be an example of that? Is it like a building? Is it a car? Like,
like shelves and stuff, right? Like silly stuff like that.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I'll take like a shelf and I'll put I'll draw things on it.
Yeah.
But like, you know, in Clip Studio, you can take it and you can like convert it to like lines. Basically, you can 2D render it from a 3D render.
Right.
And I'll take that and like kind of try to use that where I can, and it obviously like doesn't always work out.
Right.
But but yeah, I mean, sometimes it's very obvious. Sometimes I do my best to like, you know, I'll do some things with it to hide it or whatever. But yeah, there are shortcuts, right? And at some point, I think the real hope and idea is to like have yourself enough of your own asset library that you can create. You don't have to rely on other things like that. But you know, there will always be a time, right?
Well, and it's tough in the comic book world because the expectations for the art, I find buck wild. So I don't have comics in front of me that I could show you, but I've seen some comics that the interiors, like half the time there's no backgrounds, half the time like everything's off model, but people still buy the book in droves. And there's other times where you could have some amazing art and people are picking apart like, well, but in this scene, he's got like 5 pouches on one side. And on this, like, people are saying that to McFarlane back in the day. They were picking apart Spawn. Like, why does he always change? And at the end of the day, especially when it comes to comics, your profit margin on a comic is terrible compared to a print.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I don't get it. So I don't know. I guess where do you land on that, Danielle, as far as like, you know, tracing, where would you order it in like hierarchy of totally okay, maybe not do it all the time, but like from using a light board and tracing to clip art to AI, like what would you say is okay but proceed with caution versus like probably don't do that? Totally muted.
Oh yeah, you forgot to unmute yourself.
Yeah, I forgot to unmute myself. Sorry. So since I've done this, I have taken like clip art and like lowered the opacity and tried to, and not exactly the same, but I would try to like get what I have in the background and draw it. Lower the opacity and then like remove it entirely.
Yeah.
So I guess as long as I change up the buildings like just enough, they don't look exactly like the drawing that I was going for, and I have done that. Um, so as long as you like change it up to like to at least, like I would say, I like at least getting the boning. I call it boning. And then like once you have enough of the boning, like take out the image and then like start drawing everything, like the inside, the windows, all from scratch. I like to use a perspective ruler in that case. And matter of fact, one of my video progress, of one commission, you do see me doing that. So I would say that is where my line is that you at least like have enough of it to get like the boning, and then like, then toss it, then draw the rest of it in yourself. So
I like that. I like that. I need to take just a very quick break. If someone could catch us up on the chat real fast,
Sure.
I will
sure.
be right back.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know where we left off. Adrian says, I feel like backgrounds serve as their own character. Compositions of backgrounds should involve thoughtful designs in regards to lighting, color, palette, atmosphere, etc. I use refs for backgrounds heavily, but I do think a lot about what exactly I want the background to convey. It's not a simple slap on. Yeah, I think that's a good point. I mean, in any piece that you're kind of creating, you want to have your background kind of tell a story, just like your primary piece is telling a story. So, right? I mean, that's really something that we got to think about when we're creating a piece. Oftentimes, I will personally admit that I will concentrate on the character design and not the background, and then fill the background in later. And then it's like, okay, the background's okay. What about you, Danielle?
So again, like actually, I kind of did the same thing you do. I draw the character first, and I draw the background later. And a lot of times that has shot me in the foot. So
Yeah,
I have been trying to do more pieces where I draw them both at the same time. That way, I'm able to like shape the character to proportionally fit the entire background.
yeah, and I think it kind of goes without saying, like if you're designing a piece, you really should design the background with the piece, because then it can help your composition and how your whole piece is going to lay out, and then it kind of gives your characters more life too. It gives them that dimensionality as well. And Adrian also says, in Renaissance times, famous oil painters would have workshops with apprentices working for them. Apprentices would often paint backgrounds, minor characters, etc., but in the end, the entire painting would be under the name of the oil painter who owns that workshop. It's funny you say that, because for the longest time, that was the way that we did it in comics too. There are a ton of ghost artists. Now, I don't know if that's 100% true. It almost seems like the time frames for a lot of comics, and maybe I don't work with Marvel guys, right? So, and I haven't had a chance to talk with Marvel guys, so I don't know how often this is the case. But yeah, I think nowadays it's like, just get it done. and if they're paying you, they're paying you for your style. Maybe it doesn't matter as much for certain things, but I mean, if you listen to like Dave Finch talk and stuff, like he talks about that all the time. Like he would do the background. That's where he started off, was doing backgrounds for Mark Silvestri and stuff like that. But you don't hear that as much anymore.
Actually, yeah, because because now there are easier ways to draw background, so I guess they don't really give background artists much of a thought at this point, which sucks.
Yeah. I know when I was talking to Ryan Benjamin, he's Jim Lee's right hand. I mean,
that's true.
In talking with Ryan at a show, this was maybe about a year ago, I had brought up, his relationship with Jim Lee. What was that like? This, that, the other. And he had told me just on the side, he's like, there's times where Jim gives me a drawing that's pretty much finished and I got to go finish the little details and ink it. And he said, sometimes it's pretty rough and I got to go in there and pretty much draw
the
everything.
Entire thing over.
Yeah.
But oftentimes when it comes to the actual books, when they go out, they do have the proper credits in there that Ryan is also penciling, inking, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
So I think that's the biggest difference modern days is people actually getting credit for stuff. Like, that's a really big deal in comics. Whereas back in the day, you're absolutely right. Like, if you're an apprentice, you should just be happy to be there painting for them.
Yeah, I would still be happy to do that, to be honest with you. I've literally gone around the internet and been like, your art is amazing. Would you like an apprentice? You never know what people will say. I have gotten a few guys that are like, you know what? I'm not looking for an apprentice, but send me your work. I'd love to point out some things.
I have never done that before.
Never hurts to ask. The worst they're gonna say is no or ignore you, right?
I guess so. I would definitely thought about sending the Bancroft brothers some of my work.
Yeah, I'll see why not.
I've had a couple people ask if I can mentor them, and my response is I don't have time for a full-time mentorship. I just don't.
Yeah.
I do 30 some odd shows a year, and in between I do 3-ish books a year. What I told them is if you have questions or if you want to set up a call, I have no problem with that, but I'm not going to be responsible for you.
You know it. I guess that's a good way to put it. Oh, Don Bluth is definitely a guy I would want to send my work to. Okay. But I guess that's where I'm definitely blessed. I ended up getting a mentor by accident. But it was, I'm at least happy that I got it.
Yeah. You never know. I do think in a lot of ways luck does play a pretty big role in the comic industry. So
I would say that was totally God.
Yeah, whether it's getting a mentor, landing in the right spot, being in someone's mind at the very right time when they're looking for a project.
There you go. I would say that was more God than luck because that was too close to home for. Okay. So I want to read the rest of her comments. Let's see. In the end, the entire painting would be under the name of the oil painter who owns that workshop. True enough. The Baptism of Christ is a famous painting by Renaissance artist Andrea del Verrocchio. But art historians usually give credit to both Verrocchio and his young student Leonardo da Vinci.
How could you not give credit to Leonardo da Vinci?
Now, I guess at the time he was just an apprentice.
Yeah, we all started off somewhere, right? Jim Lee started off somewhere. Mm-hmm. He started off as a med student. You would figure,
Oh, that's right.
She finishes up with saying, because when you look at the baptism of Christ, it's pretty obvious that one of the figures is not like the other. Also, I feel like at some point we're just going to have you on the show. Adrian, she says, I apologize for all the word vomit in chat. Hey, I'm happy you're here hanging out.
I would love it because she does have a lot of, I know she would have a lot to say, and she does need some recognition. I get a lot of advice from her, and she does hit me where it hurts when I need to hear it.
Well, maybe we could set something up for next week, Adrian, if you're interested. Feel free to send me a message on Instagram, just Steve Messenger Art. I can get you info. Maybe we could set up a little bit of a do like a little mini interview like we did with Danielle, and then jump into like panel discussion kind of stuff next week. Go that route if you're interested. So yeah, I think what I kind of want to boil it back down to is one last talking point on the AI stuff, and then I think I'm going to finish up with some notes for the evening that we can all comment on. One of the comments that came up on Facebook with a comic shop that I follow. The guy was just kind of lamenting, like, this AI stuff's everywhere. There's another cover that came out. I forget what it was. I think it was maybe it was a black cat or a Catwoman or something. He had commented that was obvious AI. At this point, people are going to do what they're going to do, in my opinion. But there's a comment that was made down in the comment section that I thought was interesting, profound, and also kind of goes back to how I started this thing, talking about the government and what they're doing. The comment that this guy made was, who's winning this thing, and what are artists doing to stand up to all these AI creators? Like, who's winning? Is it the AI generation, or is it the artists? Like, who's winning?
Oof.
So I know that there's an art group that's leading the charge in getting some lawsuits together against generative AI. I don't know if it's like ChatGPT or I don't know, whatever company runs the specific brands of AI art. Like there's Night Cafe or whatever the heck. So yeah, I mean, right now, I would say we're kind of losing the battle. And the only reason I'm saying that is because too many consumers are on the side of, hey, if it gets me a cheaper item, or if I'm able to enter this as a market, why can't I try that? So many people are on that side that they don't understand. They're not understanding what else is behind that, right? They're not. Obviously, this is built off of the backs of tens of thousands of artists against their will in probably 98.9% of the cases. Even though people don't think that is the case, They're like, well, the AI didn't just steal their artwork off the internet. They posted it, so it must be that they wanted somebody to take that art and do something with it. No, we post our art on the internet for a specific reason, so you can view it, and then like you can decide whether or not you like my stuff, or whether you want to buy it, whatever. When we post things on the internet, it's not for you to just be like, oh, hey, that's free for me to take. Let me go download and print it, right?
Most folks argue fair use for that. That if you post something to a public website, that falls under fair use.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think we're sort of on the losing side, but I do feel like there is enough people. So it's kind of like 49-50 right now, or 49-51, I'd say right now, because there's enough people that still appreciate the arts to the point where like they don't want to see artists stop creating art, right? So
yeah,
that's kind of how I'm viewing it right now.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
I do agree, and it really falls into that the entire society is built on now, and especially now affordable. So they're willing. So if as long as they can have it without the hassle, they will get it. However, like James, there are people who there is a community of people who will stick it out for us, for artists who work our asses off, to get a piece out. And in the end, if all you care about is just getting something now and not really consider all the work and time that really has been put into the piece, I'm okay with not selling my work to you, because I know I have someone else who would want to buy it from me.
Yeah, I think the biggest piece of advice, and Steve, I'll let you go. I'm sorry. I think the biggest piece of advice I can give to anybody who does post their stuff online is post low res stuff or watermark it. I mean, there's obviously ways around the watermark. Watermark's pretty easy to kind of get around, but make sure that it's yours in a way that if somebody had stolen it and that you would recognize that was stolen. You know what I mean?
Actually, there's also that one thing that if someone stole your work and is trying to act like you did it, then then that was probably the biggest compliment ever. I've actually had one of my commissions stolen from me once, and it was it's just one of I didn't. What was strange is that I wasn't mad. It was more like, well, I guess it finally happened to me. But I guess that says that I am a good artist.
Yeah.
But of course, I did fight.
So I think we're starting to hit the breaking point where the virtue battle of no AI and all that is starting to break a bit.
Okay.
I think early on it was you had to die hard. We're not going to embrace this. This is theft. Everything else. You still have that contingent. There's a comic influencer, we'll say, that I follow on Instagram that posted he had bought one of these covers that was AI generated.
Mm-hmm.
And he flat out said in the comment, like, you know what? I don't give a hoot if it was or wasn't AI. I love the cover. I bought it for $5.
Ugh.
And I think you're going to see more people breaking and saying, you know what? It still took someone putting it together. I really like the image, and I don't care.
Yeah, that's the part where it's like quick and easy.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I can't really speak. I can't really speak on that because once upon a time, like just when you're tired enough, you just is like whatever, just give it to me. And so and now seeing it too, like seeing it happen, it's just like okay, well, no, that's bitten me in the butt.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think when you click around on Google and you're looking for an image of something and hundreds of AI images are now circulating, I think people are getting sick of that. I think people are getting sick of Instagram and Facebook constantly putting AI images in front of you. The novelty is worn off.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I think in the market where we're operating, if you send your stuff to a color artist and it comes back and it looks like it has extra flair, and your editor or whoever that's commissioning this piece to be done is like, this looks great, we're going to use it, and you've already been paid to do your pencils and inks, are you going to say no?
Are you gonna say no? That's a good question.
Are you going to say no? You can't use that?
Yeah, that's a tough one. Right? Because I guess it's really whatever's prearranged with the company or editor you're working for, right? Like if it's your work and they're using it, right? I feel like you should have some say. But I mean, if they've worded that contract to be like, well, we're hiring our colorist and they're going to do whatever they're going to do with it, and you have no say otherwise, then I guess that's kind of tough, right? I would hope that the editor would be like, hey, we have these guys that we'd like to maybe do your colors. And I think that's the other thing too is that the editor's jobs to be like, make sure things are consistent and on schedule. I'm wondering if some of these guys just aren't trained well enough to know the difference between what is good art and what isn't. Right?
Well, unfortunately, a lot of times AI art is amazing.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Well, yeah, but I don't know, man, because I will say this. I've been following a guy on Facebook secretly, kind of stalking him.
Yeah.
Who I know for a fact, because I can absolutely 100% tell, he has been either tracing or redrawing AI art, and you can just tell that it's AI art. It just has that, like, look to it. Like, AI art almost has its own style. Now you can tell it to do a different style, but it still has that style. You know what I mean? Like, you still kind of tell it's AI.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Like, they'll do weird artifacts in the background for no reason. Or, like, if you tell it to do it in a comic style, they do extra scritchy lines in certain weird areas. There's just a lot of, like, little tells. And I don't know if it's just because of something that is picked up through the algorithm from artists who do something like that similar that became really popular. And then, I mean, I don't know who that artist is, but I don't know, they're just always, I mean, some of it is really, really good. And I feel like, yeah, some of these guys put a lot of time into creating this image that's absolutely going to be like perfect and like not. But at that point, like if it took you that long, I mean, you could have, do you not know? Like if you took 3 hours to put in prompts, you could have drawn it and colored it in 3 hours. If you were good at drawing and coloring.
Yeah, I don't
You
know.
know?
It's I feel like when it comes down to multiple people collaborating, like in a comic book world, I think pencilers and inkers are going to be finding themselves potentially compromising themselves once it gets to the color phase.
Yeah.
I think that's harsh reality.
I know. At some point, it's just going to become you got to do it. You got to do it all yourself.
Which
I mean, it's kind of going that way, anyway.
I mean, that's what I've been doing.
Yeah.
But,
I'm beginning to go that way. I've out of 5 or 6 colorists that I've had, and I'm not going to drop anybody's names. I've only kept one out of 5 or 6 different colorists I've had. And it's just inconsistent quality work. So, I mean, I do kind of get it.
Yeah.
Because we are people, and even though we're people and we're creating art, we do make mistakes.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes that makes or break the piece of art.
And like Adrian said here, machines don't convey pain, love, joy, sorrow, rage, etc., because they can't feel those things the way humans can. And the art produced by AI will always be inferior because of that. I do agree with you for now. I think it's a matter of time.
Yeah.
It's going to get more compelling. I mean, this is already infinitely better than it was a couple years ago.
Yeah.
I'll show you guys something real quick. I've got a buddy. His Kickstarter is about to wrap up. So if you guys haven't seen Doug Hop's work through Shadow Mist, this is all of his oil paintings that he put onto playing cards.
Oh, nice.
His style. This is what Midjourney looked like when Midjourney was first taken off, when it was first becoming the buzz.
Oh.
And the first thing I thought was, this looks just like Doug's. Like, this dude's out of a job.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Well, the answer is he is not out of a job. He's doing just fine. He's doing shows. He has side gigs that he does. Plus, he's doing his own Kickstarters. But that's just it. He's doing his own thing. He does his own artwork. And it's all oil painting, too.
Oh, man.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I don't know. I don't know where all this thing goes, but I think if we have an audience that still appreciates original art, they still appreciate us being the ones that go after it. I don't think there's not going to be the same magic if you tell them it was made by a machine. Just plain and simple.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. All right. Well, I'm going to finish up with a couple more notes. But there's another Kickstarter here, unless anyone else has any AI comments. If you have any more AI questions in the chat, feel free to drop them there. Do you guys have any other comments about AI?
I did. You know, you guys were talking about the cover, the AI cover work, right?
Yeah.
And the only thing that I wanted to mention, and maybe you mentioned it and I missed it, is that I find it very interesting to find out that, and maybe Marvel and like DC and Image or whatever, they're okay with it. But I feel like I find it very interesting to me that they're okay with people feeding their characters into these AI generators. I mean, I guess don't get me wrong, they're already there.
You're talking about like Marvel and DC having an issue with like their okay.
Yeah. I find it very interesting that like if an artist takes their work that they've done for DC or Marvel and intentionally puts it into an AI image generator with the intention of creating more art in their style, I feel like find it very interesting. There's not some sort of like legal clause there that's like they could sue you, and that they should force you to email and say like we didn't authorize this, so that it's on the record, so that becomes a legal precedent against AI, unless they're okay with AI.
Yeah, I think they're sitting and waiting to figure out what they're going to do, what their move's going to be. But I think if the trigger gets pulled where if you're going to be using AI generators on your own, that you have to own the data set, Marvel and DC stand to benefit the most because they own the rights to all their images. They can just feed in all of their stuff and just say, hey, I want to cover in the style of J. Scott Campbell or Jim Lee or Jay Lee or whoever. Yeah. And they've already got a huge back catalog. So I think they have the most advantageous spot. I think a lot of these lawsuits that are currently pending out there, I don't think it's going to go anywhere, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. We'll see.
That's my black pill doomsayer.
Time will tell. I think the thing about what's up, Kev? I think the thing about art, right, is as long as we're able to create our work in a new way that's going to put it in front of other people and bring our own what's the word I'm looking for? Ingenuity. I think I said that right. Yeah. I'm on board. To our work and how we give it to others. I don't think we'll have a problem. And I think there's a silver lining. There's a silver lining in it with AI art. And this is something that I tell people is that how many people will skip over drawing and go to AI art, right? Do AI art for a while, figure out that there's no money to be made in it, and stop. And then how many of those people, I mean, it's sad. In the same vein, it's sad. We're losing out on potential artists in the future. But what does that do for us? The guys and girls who can draw and do all this stuff, amazing, cool things. We kind of become, a more refined commodity in a sense, That's
true. And also, Adrian has a really good point. Life will always be about struggle of outside forces trying to overwhelm the human spirit, but time and time again, humanity prevails, which 100% she is right. Yep. Each generation of artists from medieval period to Renaissance to modern times have faced their own unique challenges. Our generation's challenge just happens to be AI. That is actually really encouraging to hear because that is true. Just everyone had their own challenges, and so now this is our bad guy in our own comic book world.
Yeah.
Okay. Caveat ties. Crimson Titan Knight. Does that mean we have to be there for a meeting?
No, he's just saying that a bunch of us are here.
Oh, okay, yay.
The theme of the evening. You guys late for a conference call?
No.
I thought for a second we had to be in for a conference call because our boss did come back from wherever he was. Said he was going to be on Discord tonight. So
gotcha. Yeah, I got final edits on my pencils tonight.
Ooh,
there you go. That's exciting.
Sure.
Hey.
Whatever gets me closer to being done, I think I'll be excited about.
Honestly, I'm excited to see it already.
Just use an AI generator, trace some stuff, and you'll be good to go.
Slap you.
It'll be fine.
Oh my goodness! No, thank you.
Yeah, I'm a mixed bag on this, and I'm going to start out really dark, and I'm going to bring it around. Is the quote from Adrian about the time and time again humanity prevails. I think back to, have you guys seen the movie Lord of War with Nicolas Cage?
Yes.
Lord of War or World of War?
Lord.
That's the one where he's a gun dealer, right?
Yep. He was loosely based on a real life gun runner, gun smuggler.
Ooh.
And the whole movie, I'm going to spoiler alert, this movie came out like 15 years ago. The whole point of the movie is that there are evil systems in place, and that even when good men try to step up and do the right thing, the way he ends the movie says, some say evil prevails when good men fail to act. I say evil prevails. And that is a very black pill way of looking at things. And in our life, in our society, in our government, and everything that we do, you can have any number of tools and systems that when evil gets a hold of it, evil tends to prevail. It tends to do its thing.
Until it doesn't. We always
Right.
gotta look at that. Ultimately, evil will always fail.
Right. And it may not be in our lifetime, but that doesn't mean that we stop fighting.
For sure.
This is the Rage Against the Machine part that we talk about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. Suddenly that phrase makes more and more sense.
We gotta get the rights to that song, man.
I know. That would be great. That would be wonderful.
Yeah. I don't know where it all goes, but when you hear about the artists that are fighting back and they are trying to do the lawsuits and everything, and I come back to how much were they looking to spend? Potentially hundreds of billions of dollars in AI. Yeah, this is just for the Department of Defense. This is how much they were requesting. I have all these tabs, and I'm not going to bore you guys to tears with all these. I was clicking through the actual government sites about what they're doing with AI, and 100% they are moving forward regardless of what happens in Artist Alley.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There is no incentive for them to legislate anything that makes it harder for them to push AI forward. Just plain and simple.
Yeah.
So that's the black pill side for me.
Yeah, I think so. AI unfortunately does have some positive uses if it's used positively.
For sure.
Yeah.
You know, I mean we're already making leaps and bounds in technology just because we're using, AI to figure out, things that we didn't figure out.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean,
yeah, well, and here's one of the random things that I dug up is that one of their safeguards is having public transparency, which is this ridiculous Word document, which is just, this is what they release. Yeah, so any department that is having a use case for using AI has to submit that and make that publicly known.
Oh, wow.
And of course, they list in here things like vaccine discovery, being able to hypothetically test millions of different variations of different, vaccines and medications and drugs in a theoretical environment before they start testing it in the real world, keep people safer. So yeah, there's definitely positive things that can come from it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
I don't know.
Yep.
Here's the wild one. This is the last thing I want to say about the government side of things. I just couldn't believe that this freaking exists. It's in here somewhere that they want to make things accessible to people that were in need, low income. Oh, and Indians. And I'm like, they can't possibly mean Native Americans.
No, to me that makes me think. Do you know how people of India are extremely proficient when it comes to computers?
No, they mean Native Americans.
They mean actual Native Americans. Okay.
So I looked it up because they have the code here. They have to specifically say, as defined by this, and there's an actual code that they actually go through and they put in changes. Like they change the language in here time and time again for tribes and Indian tribes and everything else. At any point, they could have changed it to say whatever the appropriate thing to say now is, whether it's First Peoples or Native Americans. No, they have a whole freaking code about Indians and Indian tribes.
Weird.
And we're trusting them to handle the intricacies of AI.
Trusting.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
So.
Well,
we've been on for quite a while. I'm going to pass it to you, Danielle, first, in case you're looking to get rolling. You've got your Twitch stream coming up tonight still?
Depending on the internet,
Yes.
depending on the internet, since I am still in Starbucks, because of the internet use.
Yeah.
But yes, I will attempt to stream tonight and pray that I am able. And if I can't, well, we're just going to have to see how tomorrow works out.
Yeah.
So if anyone is interested, yes, I stream on Evine_arts on Twitch. I do it from Tuesday to Thursday from approximately 9 p.m. to 12 a.m. I tried to go through those times, but I tend to start late. But I am typically on around that time. And also, if you want to support Noir, Crimson Titans Noir, please check out my part of Noir, which is Abigail, 1920s horror, and James's Dex Damon, which should be out sooner than later.
Yeah, soon.
I like it.
Soon. Best I can offer. Soon.
Very good.
We'll find out how many edits I gotta do.
James, what do you got, man? What do you got going on that you want to plug?
So I got a couple cool things coming. I'm about to be getting the proofs for my art comic book. It is a comic book of which has all my art in it. That's coming out soon. I am planning on doing a couple actually exclusive covers.
Nice.
For that. There's one of them right there. That's going to be for Steel City Comic Con. That is the Scooby-Doo Scream cover.
Nice.
That's the work in progress. I'm actually working on those colors right now.
Just tracing over the classic Scream and Scooby mix up.
Yeah.
Mashup.
Yeah.
That looks amazing.
That's awesome, dude.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh, I love the whole combination thing going on.
Yeah, I did that this morning while I was waiting. My wife had eye surgery, so while I was waiting for her to get out of that, I was doodling on my tablet. So
great, man.
Thank you. And then Dex Damon's coming soon. So keep an eye out on updates from me on Instagram and Facebook. I'm just sketching the beast.
And also check out my updates on coffee. Again, Evine Arts.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot to throw in the coffee bit.
All good. I was trying to find a tab. I had your Instagram pulled up, but I have no idea where that went to. So.
I mean, I can always just send it to you real quick.
Yeah, you got it. Perfect.
Yeah, there's a little snippet there from Dex Damon on my Instagram there.
Is that it here?
No, that one. Yep.
Yeah. Check out that. Look at that line work. Look at those pencils.
Thank you.
Sent.
Oh, yeah.
It is sent.
Very cool. I'll try to get that tagged
that
up in the old description. But cool. All right. Well, Danielle, I appreciate you hanging out tonight. If you need to get rolling, I'm just going to finish up with a couple more quick announcements. That's all I got. And then, James, if you're good too, man. I know you're a busy dude.
I can hang out for a little bit longer.
Okay, I'm just going to roll through a few more of these.
Yeah,
but feel free to take off if you got to go, Danielle. Thanks for hanging out.
Of course, and thanks so much for inviting me again.
Yeah.
Later, Danielle. I'll chat with you later, I'm sure.
You will. Chat you later.
Bye.
Bye-bye. There she goes.
It's cool.
There she goes.
Darn Starbucks.
I'll tell you what, man, that stinks when your internet's acting up. That was the first time we were trying to do a podcast back in the day. The only house that we could play at for our podcast, we were doing like a D&D thing.
Mm-hmm.
His internet was not so good.
Oh.
So we'd have people watching and it'd just be like F's in the chat, like, oh, drop frames. And it's like, what do we have to do to get better internet?
Yeah. I had the same problem for a little while. Actually, I finally upgraded my internet and I upgraded my router. So now I can stream better from my computer in my office now.
I'll tell you what, you don't realize how much all these devices just soak up the bandwidth.
Oh yeah, dude, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And I got kids. You got 4 TVs running at a time. You know what I mean? You
got iPads, iPhones, phones, you name it.
Oh yeah.
Guys, we've got just about a week or so left on the Moppet's Got Talent. This is Kyle Adams' work. He's been a big supporter of the indie scene for a long time. This is his first Kickstarter.
Kermit the Frog.
Do you have a good Kermit the Frog?
Oh yeah, Miss Kermit the Frog here.
I love it. I love it. Artwork done by Gus Mock for the pencils. I don't know if he did the inks too, but I've got my Swedish Chef M&M chainsaw
Nice
cover there.
Oh my god, that's crazy. I like the Beetlejuice one, the one on the left.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. I like that. That's neat.
I forget who did that.
Funny.
But yeah, he's got a lot of great work. You're gonna see more coming from Kyle with these covers. I think this is gonna take off for him. Also mentioned my buddy Doug. How many hours are left? 11 hours to go. So if you're going to bed here soon, you may not remember first thing in the morning. This may not be a gift for you, but if you got a friend that you're looking to get like a cool gift, possibly, I don't know if this will be ready by Christmas. But if you just need some cool gift ideas, these are some really cool cards and then art books as well.
That's killer.
That art book that you're making for your stuff, are you doing sketch covers on there too?
Yeah, so I have a variation that I'm doing a sketch cover. Yeah. Gotcha.
That's the way to do it, man.
Yeah, I'll be offering sketch cover commissions when it's for. I'm actually hoping to have the art book for not my next show. I don't think I'll have it, but for my show after that, which is Saratoga. I'm hoping to have it for that show. That's my best show of the year. So I'm hoping it'll take off really well. And then for Steel City to do that exclusive cover where Matthew Lillard's going to be there, I think that'll be sweet.
Do you know Ryan Kincaid?
Yeah, I'm familiar. I've never actually met him, but so I'm familiar with his work.
He's coined the term premiere. Instead of doing an exclusive book, it's a premiere of a book. Because inevitably what happens, I've had this happen to me where I try doing an exclusive and then maybe it doesn't do as well as I thought it was going to do. Yeah. And now I have 10 extra books I don't know what to do with.
Yeah.
It's an easier way to say, hey, this is a super limited run that we're premiering at such and such place.
All right. I like that.
I think I'm stealing that. There might be some things that are still going to be exclusive, but I think for a lot of the things that I didn't really know what to do with before, it's going to be premiere moving forward.
Nice.
Want to give a quick shout out to, do you know Kevin, Bearded Artist? He does a lot of shows.
No.
Guy's a phenomenal artist. He is going to be doing tattooing moving forward. So big shout out to him. He got his tattoo studio set up. So if you're down in the Cincinnati area and you're looking to get a tattoo, hit up Kevin Nichols, Bearded Artist 513, the old 513 in Cincinnati. Another quick shout out. I've told you about Big Lig Comic Con.
Mm-hmm.
This is JD.
Tried to get into that one.
Yeah, I think they're doing 3 shows a year now.
Wow. Okay.
They got 2 in Roanoke and then 1 in Chantilly. But JD just wrote his first big book for Boom Studios for Power Rangers.
That's awesome.
That is the main cover there, I believe. But it's gonna be his story.
That's cool.
And then buddy of mine, Sketch Ellis, he had just posted up that he's got a cover for that story too. So super cool. Glad to see. He kind of told me early. I don't think he was. I don't know if he was supposed to. He may or may not have told me that he was working on this.
Don't get him in trouble.
But he was super excited about it. I think it was pretty close to release anyways. So
that's awesome.
Wanted to give another shout out to Lee. Met her at Memphis. I believe it was her first big like Comic-Con kind of thing, but she has some really cool. She does some digital and then a lot of traditional inking. So just want to give her a shout out. If you're interested, follow her at Alleyway Arts. Very cool artist. I don't know. I have some inking stuff I'm looking to get done down the road. I'm sourcing inking artists. Hint, hint. Wink, wink. Nudge, nudge. But yeah, I think that might have been it. Let me just roll through here real fast. What time are you guys rolling out trick or treating tomorrow?
It starts at 6, so we're gonna be a little early on the curve. So probably about 5:40ish.
Gotcha.
I think 5:40, and then we'll go until the monsters are tuckered out. We're going with our friends, and they have early bedtimes for their kids. So we'll go and see how long they stay, and then we might hit a couple other houses beyond that.
There you go.
I want my kids to have a good time, regardless of if the next day they're going to be miserable. It's okay. They'll take a nap when they get home.
Yeah. There you go. They'll make up for it sooner or later, right?
Right. I mean, Halloween comes once a year. They get to dress up. I mean, we have dress up. We do dress up here at home, just for funsies. But it's a big event, and it only comes around once a year. I don't want to ruin it for my kids. I want to give them the experience that I wish I had when I was a kid. So hopefully I give it to them. Let's hope they're good enough to get that experience.
Let's hope they don't act up. I like it. That was I don't know. I used to love Halloween, and then just like once I got into middle management, was just working all the time. Like it's more like, oh yeah, it's Halloween.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Whoops.
Dude, I will say, man, this year has been just crazy nuts. I mean, with my wife starting her business and me getting these pages done and all these other projects I'm working on done and working my job and all this other stuff, like Halloween came up so fast, it literally kicked me in the butt. I kid you not. We have one decoration up outside. Usually we have like 20 blow-ups. This year there's one.
There you go. Okay.
There's one that was all I could manage. We barely got our pumpkins done in time. So yeah, dude, it's just been crazy, man. And so just kind of keeping tabs on that, like, oh shoot,
it flies by, man.
Yeah, and this next month is gonna be even crazier. I don't know about you. I think you said you had a pretty busy November too. I have 3 shows in November.
Oh wow. What all are you doing?
So I got Twin Tiers Comic-Con, Saratoga Comic-Con, and the other show is a craft show. It's not really like a show.
Gotcha.
But it's still gonna be a busy month.
I'm telling you, man, get those ribbons that you put on your presents and just put it on everything.
Yeah.
Because it subconsciously tells people like, hey, maybe it's not for me, maybe it's a gift.
Right. It's a good idea.
It's so stupid, it works. I'm telling you.
Yep, I got, and then my last, and then the first week of December, and then I'm done with shows for the year.
Yeah. Real quick, Adrian, I do agree with you. If you're still in the chat, is that when it all comes around, either the supercomputer nukes everything, or we win. I mean, at the end of the day, it's human spirit that moves forward. Absolutely true. And Cav, I totally agree. It does not feel like Halloween. It doesn't feel like Halloween at all. I used to put out trick or treat candy at my booth. I had people steal whole buckets of at a con, at a Comic Con. People just dump the entire bucket of candy into their bag.
Wow.
Yeah, that's right
dirty.
in front of me. And I'm like, okay, thanks.
Yeah. What about anybody else? Okay.
Yeah.
That's awful. People are.
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah.
It's not good.
Yeah.
I wanna wrap up with one last thing. If unless you've got one last thing. We'll call this the one last thing segment.
I think I said my one last thing. I'm good.
Okay, cool. I started off the show talking about the Memphis Comic Expo. All in all, some shows are going to be better than others. You can't entirely blame, and I say you, not you, but like artists in general, we can't necessarily blame a convention for our success or a failure. It's only what we do with it that makes it a success or a failure.
Right.
So even if it was a rough show, what did we learn from it? What do we do moving forward? Because I don't know that Memphis is going to be around next year. And if they are, what did you learn from this year so you're even better next year?
Right. Yeah.
I guess that's all I'm going to say about that at this point, because I feel like otherwise I'm beating a dead horse. But I don't necessarily blame the convention folk because I don't know their whole situation.
Yeah. I think it's nice. It's nice to commiserate with your fellow artists, right?
Yeah.
I will say that there are times where it's like you're at a show and you're like, man, this has just been bad. You know, you want to turn to your friend and be like, how's it been for you? It's been bad. Oh man, yeah, I feel you.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think you're right. I mean, the only thing you can control is what are you gonna do next time. Maybe it's not worth going to that show next time if that's the case, or maybe you know you talk to other people in the area and they say, well, I did pretty good or I did bad and this is what I did and this is what I didn't do or whatever, you know.
Results will vary.
Yeah, right. You're gonna get out of it as much as you put into it based on, you know, what is available around you. So yeah, I mean, you got to take the good with the bad sometimes. I mean, sometimes it's research. This wasn't a good show. This wasn't my type of show. I need to look out for these types of shows that do these types of things and avoid them, or yada yada, you know.
So the wild thing with this one is everyone there was telling me that the last 2 years were just buck wild. Like there was a dude that came in from Florida, little toy shop, that told me how much he made the last couple of years, and we're talking not just thousands, but I think he was possibly in the tens of thousands of dollars on a 2-day show, which is phenomenal. Yeah. So it's like, what are these guys and gals that left early gonna do if they announce next year that they're having the show again and it's sold out, and now everyone that left early isn't getting back in?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. So I don't like burning bridges, man.
Right. Yeah. No. Yeah. I mean, like leaving an hour early because it's been dead for the last 4 hours is one thing, but yeah, like leaving a Saturday night or whatever and packing your stuff up and not coming back. There were
people. It was a 2-day show, Saturday, Sunday. There were people that a few hours into Saturday were already tearing down and leaving.
That's nuts, dude. I don't even I can't even comprehend that. Like, you've already paid for it. You've already paid for the hotel. You're not getting that money back.
Yeah.
Now, unless you have some sort of life or death emergency that you need to go tend to your family members, I just don't understand it.
Yeah, I don't know. There was, I had a couple bigger pieces and that's the thing. Is like there could be any number of things that go, that completely change your weekend. I had a couple people eyeballing, some original art that if I had gotten that, I would have hit my minimum quota, no problem.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. You got to learn. You got to figure out what works.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are some shows that are just doomed. I don't know that Memphis is it though. I don't know. We'll see what happens next year. They apparently had a good run, and this year wasn't necessarily hitting right. Maybe next year's back on track. Maybe we never see them again.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen it too, where like sometimes the conventions change hands, right? And things that next year won't go well,
right?
But it builds back up, right? It seems to be like there's a factor of people who are loyal to the show, people who are loyal to the individual exhibitors, and then there's people who just want to come to the show, right? So out of all those, any of those three groups, right? Like any of those factors could change that could affect how many people come. But it takes time to build an audience, and we see that every day that we post our artwork. It takes time. So sometimes if you go
viral.
Yeah.
Let's go viral, buddy.
Yeah, let's go.
What do we got to do? What do we got to do?
It. I don't know. run down the street naked for every panel we draw. I don't know.
I live in Akron. It ain't gonna fly so well.
Yeah, I live in a small town. Yeah, it's not gonna go.
Be an awkward day at the Starbucks tomorrow when you're trying to get your latte.
Hey, Steve, I saw a little too much of you yesterday.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you a decaf today, buddy.
Hitting a little too hard.
Kev says I'd pay for that not to happen.
There you go. It's like a
Yeah.
extortion.
I don't know, man. Yeah, I think we'll get there. We'll get there. We'll go. We'll hit it. So we'll hit it one of these days, man. Maybe you know what? You and I got to get together. We'll draw this like enormously massive piece somewhere, and maybe that'll go. I don't know. Who knows?
Well, unfortunately, it seems like in this business, if you do want to ascend faster, if you instead of trying to be famous, you try to be infamous
Mm-hmm.
and go more the heel route, and you talk a lot of crap, and you do a lot of drama videos and that sort of thing to clout chase.
Yeah.
That seems like that's the faster way to the
Yeah.
top.
I can say that for a fact. There's an artist that I follow. Again, won't drop names. But yeah, that was his whole shtick for the longest time. Was he was he talked a lot of stuff about a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And he would do these live videos where it wasn't like he would talk about his art, and then he would talk about nothing about except for all the drama that's happening. And then that was like he just like blew up. And like his art's good, right?
Yeah.
His art's good. I wouldn't say it's like how famous he is good, but his art, that was exactly it. That was what he did, and he got there.
Yeah, I can't, in any sort of good conscience, sit here and just bash somebody.
Yeah, no.
I don't know. Even at shows when people start to go off about, like, even at Memphis, like people are going off about the show, and I'm like, I don't know their side of the story.
Right. Yeah. Maybe you should have them on the show.
I'm too tired to do that. I don't know if they wanted to come on and talk. It would actually be interesting to get some showrunners on here, because you really do never really know the other side unless you talk to them.
Yeah, that would be kind of neat. Yeah.
Like, I know I've got a buddy that used to book our band back in the day. He actually made it big, and he runs a huge festival in Ohio. It's one of the biggest metal festivals, and he was telling me that this group of investors, when it comes to music festivals, half the time they don't start turning a profit on a festival until they're hitting number 7 or number 8. The reason why his festival was such a standout is I guess they started turning a profit in 3 years, which is less than half the time. But that's still 3 years of people sinking money into something.
Yeah. Takes money to make money.
Yeah. But it's that I don't know. If you don't get that perspective and you just show up, you would think these guys gotta be millionaires. Look at all this. You got this giant stage. You got all this, you got Korn playing and Slipknot. And yeah, they do have lots of money, but I don't know. Maybe the reason they don't have the nice thing that you thought they would is because, well, guess what? They're still not in the black.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, dude. That's exactly it. Yeah, that's so many people. It's like you don't know. Just because they look one way doesn't mean that that's the case, right? That's Don't judge a book by its cover.
Yep. Absolutely.
Absolutely true.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to set up a show for next Wednesday. If you guys have conversation points you want us to cover for next week, feel free to leave that on Facebook or Instagram or here or YouTube in the comments down below. Make sure you do all the YouTube stuff like and subscribe. And yeah, we'll get some new talking points. And then next week, what is it? Next week is what? I will be going to, I think, Motor City.
Oh, nice.
I think that's what it is. Yeah, because I've got, what is today? This is the 30th, 31st. Yeah, so I think next week is Motor City. And then I've got family that's covering a Akron Comic-Con for me.
Oh, you got a nice Akron Comic-Con. Oh, yeah, that's... Yep. Okay. Yeah, I was looking at trying to do that one, but it was the same weekend as whatever one I'm doing.
Yeah, it's a little 2-day show, but they have it packed in there. I have yet to be able to get in until this year.
Oh wow!
And then I ended up getting double booked. So It's like, well, I've got some friends and family that offered to cover the table. They're actually fighting over who's going to get the most sales.
Yeah.
And then I'll be driving up to Detroit.
Nice.
So,
That's
should
awesome.
be a good time.
It's too bad. It's too bad you're not going to the Akron Comic Con. You could meet William Russell.
I know William.
Oh, do you? Yeah, he's all right dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have yet to meet him in person. I'd like to.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's cool.
He's a good dude. I ended up having dinner with him a couple nights in Denver, but I met him before that. You know, I like his mentality when it comes to shows. He's got more of that, we'll call it the blue collar side of life, like the roll up the sleeves and do the heavy lifting.
Yeah.
Don't take your audience for granted.
Right.
And then also, like, I mean, he's brought it up. There's a lot of comic pros that are guests that just show up with, you know, their portfolio and a stack of sketch covers to do commissions, and then they complain about people like me who have a print wall. And he's like, why complain? Like, if they're selling prints, like, bring prints, you know, make more money.
Yeah. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, I never understood the people who just show up with a sketchbook and a couple of comics and that's it. Like,
well, some of those guys can make a ton because depending on how much they're getting covered, they definitely got their table covered.
Yeah,
they could potentially have their flight and hotel, possibly meals covered, depending on where they stack in the guest status.
Yeah.
And then some of these guys, I know, like, hell, when I was at Memphis, I was taking note of some of the commission sheets. I mean, there were some guys that were charging on average $700 to $1,000 a commission.
That's crazy. I wish.
And you know, if you can knock out 3-4 commissions in a weekend and you didn't have any expenses,
you're making good money.
You don't have to pack a lot of stuff.
Yeah, that's true. That's true, man.
Yeah. So
yeah, I can only imagine being like Dave Finch and being able to charge $200 for like a sketch card, and then doing like 10 of them in a weekend. Like,
is that his rate? Because
the
last I saw it was a lot for a 9x12.
Yeah, for a 9x12, it's a lot. He'll do sketch cards, I think around $250. But yeah, I think it's like 7, 8, 9 for a 9x12, something like that. I could be wrong. Could be a little bit off.
I think it's closer to. I could be wrong.
Might be closer to 2 now.
I think it's way closer to 2.
Yeah, it might be closer to 2 now.
There's a dude on YouTube called Batman Statue Collector. Have you heard about this? Have you seen this?
No, I've not.
Let's see if I can bring him up real quick without
Statue Collector.
I
just want to meet Dave. I think it'd be cool to just meet him. I always feel awkward talking to artists and not like those types of guys and like not buying anything. But like I just want to meet you. Like I can't afford anything you do, but I want to meet you.
Oh yeah. Well, I think they get it when it comes to artists, you know, because they had artists that they looked up to as well.
Yeah.
But so here is I believe that's a Finch Bane that he got done.
Oh, I've seen him before.
Yeah, he's
I might have just watched one of his videos recently.
He's had a mix of different commissions that he's gotten. He's gotten some done by Jock and some other guys.
Yeah.
He's gotten some Ryan Benjamins. But he was going through a Finch phase where he was just getting pretty much all of the I think I actually clicked on his channel. Maybe I did. Let's see here. But he was going through and he was getting all of the villains in the Rogues Gallery.
Oh, nice.
So, and he was like, I don't know. Oh, yeah, here we go. I'm not going to play the audio. It's quite the collection. I don't know what this guy does for a living.
Who knows, man? How many subscribers he's got? Does he do that for a living?
Well, it's part of the side hustle. He's got 170,000 subscribers. But, like, check all these out in the background here.
Oh, yeah.
Clayface, Freeze. Is that, it's not Manhattan.
Strange, right? Is that his name?
I think so, yeah.
Strange, yep.
Scarecrow back there. Penguin, Bane, Two-Face. He started getting some of the ladies, too.
Oh, there's Finch. I've seen that piece, too.
Yeah, Finch will put a lot of these up on his Instagram, but like anytime that I see a portrait like this, I'm like, yep, that's Chris. That's the Batman statue guy.
Yeah. Are they all Finch? The whole all of them are Finch?
I think everything on this wall is Finch.
I just saw that piece. I swear recently.
Yeah. Old Scarecrow.
Wow.
And look at that penguin.
Yeah. I've seen all these posted on Dave's Instagram.
Yep.
Nice.
It is. The thing that impresses me the most about Finch is just how freaking clean he is. Everything is methodical. Everything is like intentionally placed. I'm more of Jim Lee, like energy, motion, keep it loose.
Yeah. I don't even know what I compare myself to. I'm weird. I'm very scratchy.
I'd say you're probably somewhere between a Lee and a Finch as far as those two go.
Oh, thank you.
Let's see.
So we're
that's cool.
Like a Ryan Benjamin / I can't think of his name now. Darn,
see if he gets a close up. Yeah, I don't think he does a close up on that Batman, but that Batman alone could be a cover.
Yeah,
like absolutely wild.
Yeah, that's crazy. I wish that'd be sweet to have a wall of crazy art like that. Oof.
My only concern, I don't know if I brought it up in one of his live streams, but having that air conditioner right above the art.
Oh yeah, it's probably not good.
I
mean, especially if that's just regular Bristol paper with no like lacquer or anything on it. It's not gonna hold up very long.
Well, I don't know how much the dehumidifying effect will affect the paper, but my biggest concern would be is if it starts dripping any condensation down. I don't know these units well enough, but that's the last thing you'd want is you come down there and you just got a bunch of shriveled up paper.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That would suck.
Real bad.
Yeah. I mean, clearly he can afford it though.
Just go get some more made. Look at that Joker up there, man. So yeah. I don't know how we got on that tangent. Something about commissions at shows.
Yes.
But
we took a deep dive.
Yeah. You're like, oh yeah, we're gonna call it a night, and here we go for another 30 minutes.
Another 15 minutes.
Yeah. But,
that's fun.
Yeah, maybe down the road. But the other thing is, like, obviously he went to work for some of the biggest names in comics.
Yeah.
And if I'm not aspiring to do that, if it happens, it happens. But it's like I'm trying to do my own thing, and it's a longer, harder road. But if something goes viral, it goes viral.
Yeah.
But I'm not holding my breath on that. Nothing in my life has been easy. So I can't imagine this being easy.
Just got to put our heads down and do the work. I mean, if you've ever, I can't think of his name off the top of my head. I'll end on this little tangent real quick. But the guy who wrote Walking Dead and Invincible, the guy who wrote those stories, he's a millionaire now. But at some point, he was so broke, he thought he was going to be homeless. And then the next day, he walked in and, they gave him a check because he, instantly became, really well off with his books that he was writing. So,
right.
I mean, there's a rock bottom and then there's only up from there, right? So,
well,
hopefully we're close enough to rock bottom that we don't have further down to go before we go up. But
I don't think I'm that rock bottom by any means.
Yeah.
It's just I don't know. I was talking with my stepmom about this today. It's like, I don't know, I talked about it on the stream too. I don't know if it's last week or 2 weeks ago, but I don't know. I felt like last year was my reinvestment year to make this calendar year, the 24, big profit moving forward. And it's been quite the opposite. It's been reinvesting the most I've ever reinvested in myself in this business, financially and time-wise.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm looking at next year, and I'm like, I'm probably going to be doing it again. And the reason being, most of my shows are already booked and paid for next year.
Yeah.
And
Not a bad issue to have, though.
No. But I've mostly booked like 10 by 10 booths or Premier Artist Alley, what have you. And at Cincinnati, I'm like, well, I had a double booth, and it proved to be a pay bump. And it's like, well, if I can afford to do it, I should just start booking every show, start doing double booths.
Yeah.
I can't afford to do that. Even though it'll pay for itself, unless I go take out a business loan, which I'm kind of tempted to. It's just a lot of money. You're effectively doubling your expense just for your show to do double booths.
Yeah.
So I think for next year, I think I'm doing 2 for sure doubles.
It's crazy.
It is crazy. It is crazy.
You're a crazy man. You're a crazy man. I wish you all the luck in the world, man.
Thank you.
I will say, and to anybody who's watching and watching now, watching later, Steve is a great dude. You ever run into him, just have a 5-second conversation with him. You'll know he's an awesome dude. I mean, since I met you in Flower City, I would consider us friends. Every time I need something from, you're always there to back me up. So yeah, man, I wish you nothing but the best of luck in like literally anything you do. I'm always here for you, bro.
That means a lot, man. Thank you.
Of course.
So I need to borrow about I need to borrow about $15,000 so I can start booking
yeah, let me just get right on that for sure.
You said anything. You said all those nice wonderful things about me and how much you would help me. So I just need about $15,000 to book. Yeah.
All right, I'll give you 15. You can give me 15 back, and then we'll just call it even.
I don't know. I've had a couple people ask about investment. I don't even know how that would work. Like if they invested in me, and I'm like, how much am I supposed to give you back?
Yeah, that's interesting.
And
is it a loan? Is it you just want what do you want?
I don't know.
That's interesting.
None of it feels right though. I'm like, I didn't quit my job to have somebody else that has ownership of me.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean that's
why I'm not excited about working for a major comic book.
I think So I think for for me, what I'll say is I think going forward, now that I know where I have been and where I am, I think going forward, anything that I create myself, I'm gonna leave it to myself. I'm not gonna try to go to a publisher. And while it might make it way more successful, I think I'd rather me own it. And then if somebody wants to approach me later and buy it, great. But yeah, but if I'm working for a publisher, I'll do whatever they want me to do, right, to get my name out there. But anything that I want to work on, I think and maybe you feel the same way, but yeah, I think that's the way I'm going to keep it.
I've got one idea that is heavily in the works that's it's meant to be sold. It's 100%. If it doesn't sell, I think it's going to make me money.
Yeah.
But ultimately,
either way it works.
It's not in my arsenal of this is going to be my long-term thing. No, yeah. It's make me money while I've got it, but someone buy it.
Yeah.
Just give me a big bag of money that I can probably reinvest in something else. And then yeah, that's that.
But, yeah, man.
All right, dude. Well, I think that's where we're going to call it. I think we said all the things that need to be said.
Yes.
We did our last thing a couple times. I do appreciate the kind words.
Of course.
And we'll let you know about I don't have any interviews lined up for next week, so I'm still planning 7 p.m. Eastern Standard. If you want to jump on then,
all right,
we'll get a panel conversation going. But guys, if you're still have a handful of people in chat, please hit that like button, that subscribe button. Kev, thanks for hanging out, buddy.
Yeah, thanks, Kev.
You guys have a good night. We'll see you.